And we're live. That's right. We just got an update from Richard Hart, 6 whole tweets that are describing what has been going on the PulseChain testnet, the development of the third version, quote unquote V3. So look, everybody who's here, hit the like and subscribe button. And, I had to go live. I had to go live immediately because we just got this update from Richard Hart. It's the largest update that we've ever seen him give. And so I just want to break it down and bring that sense of excitement back to the community because I know people are excited. I know the price of Hex right now is already sitting at 5.9 cents on Nomics here. So that's just incredible. So we have a community of YouTubers, and I didn't see anybody else jumping on immediately. Maybe it's because my arm is still broken that I was just sitting by my computer hoping and praying, not for 11K Bitcoin, but praying that Richard Hart would give us an update. And sure enough, my prayers were answered. And so thanks for being here, everybody. I know we're all really excited about all this. And it, PulseChain, it's not launching yet. Don't get ahead of yourself. But I think we deserve, as a community, to celebrate this moment where we got the biggest update of all time from Richard Hart about PulseChain. And look, PulseChain matters. There was an airdrop that happened recently, this past week, that drove the Ethereum fees way higher than they have been. Gwei was at sometimes sitting at 500, and that means that people doing swaps would have to pay over $100 just to get onboarded into their token of choice. And so another thing I found out about the Blur airdrop is that it was basically a vampire attack on OpenSea, and it actually caused OpenSea to drop their fees to 0 temporarily. I noticed earlier today. So look, the crypto space is thriving, and the reason why the Ethereum fees are so high is because this service is in demand. Blockchain services and blockchain space is in demand. And that's what PulseChain is meant to address. It's meant to address this horizontal scaling issue that we have in crypto, or lack thereof. And so I definitely want to say hi to the chat. I definitely want to talk about what the updates mean, try to interpret them for you off the fly. I do want to remind everybody that I am hosting my second mass Hex meetup in Miami at the Bitcoin conference. Last year, when I went with 15,000 different people who all love crypto, it was an incredible experience. And so I want to bring that experience to as many Hexicans as possible. So I've arranged to have a YouTube studio set up across the street from the Bitcoin conference. And we'll have meetups both within the conference and outside of the conference there on Miami Beach. And that'll be May 18th to 20th. There's already been a bunch of people who signed up for it, but it's important to get your tickets now. And you can do that at hexpomiami.com if you're wanting to go to this big Hex meetup. I don't know if PulseChain will be out by then, but we're just hoping and praying here. So shout out to everybody who flocked to the channel, because you too are probably really excited about PulseChain. You're excited to hear about what these updates mean and all that good kind of stuff. So I want to say hi to everybody, and we're keeping an eye on the price of Hex. I saw right before this update came out, we were sitting about flat for the day, or maybe down 2 or 3%, back at around 5.5 cents or 5.3. And so now we're already pumping up to 5.9. And some people, they have their bags packed, and other people are just getting started. So welcome. And I was looking at the Hex holders and swaps earlier today, and I noticed this transaction. I would love to just point it out, because I think some people, they would make fun of somebody who bought only $12 of Hex and they paid a $4 fee. Well, look, back when I first learned about crypto, I actually bought $12 worth of Ethereum, and I paid, I think, a higher fee than that to Coinbase. I think I paid an $8 fee. That's not okay. We can't really we can't really onboard the world into crypto this way. And that's why we need PulseChain. We need lower fees. We need a better onboarding experience. And we need a way to be able to end stakes in Hex without having these high fees that really have gone higher ever since Ethereum became so combative in the early days of Hex. Not everybody remembers that the gas fees were not even always this high proportionally. So basically, Hex users or people who use the function of reading from each block on each day, we've suffered higher gas fees than the rest of the crypto space. The people who are doing other types of transactions other than the type involved with Hex, they didn't have their gas fees go up as much as we did. And so there's a long history there of needing PulseChain. We've needed PulseChain. And so I just wanted to shout out to who, we don't know who this is, but there are people out there who are even accumulating small amounts of Hex. And look, the $12 worth of Ethereum that I bought 5 or 6 years ago now, it's worth $1,600 today because that's how much Ethereum went up. And Ethereum wasn't even designed to be a store of value. Hex is designed to be a store of value. So, your imagination might tell you how far it can go. We're keeping an eye. Normally, we don't check the price every few minutes, but I'm really curious to see what happens with this latest update from Richard that is the biggest update we've ever seen. We got Dr. Diraj there saying, pump the like button and share. Yes, please. Thank you. Digital Gifted. Hello, everyone. Yoden, good to see you there. And Crypto Class, morning team. Great way to start the day with updates. Price go up on Hex. Maddie tells us what these updates mean. Yep, that's the plan. And we'll also be here, just as a community to celebrate the win of getting more updates. I know that there was a long time, I was there with you, a long time where we didn't get any updates. People ruined it for the community because they pestered Richard so much. He decided to stop giving them. And look, he doesn't work for us. He doesn't owe us anything. PulseChain was a sacrifice. And that doesn't mean we can't be excited about low fees. Can't be excited about a whole new blockchain that is this is the largest airdrop of all time. We saw earlier this week the Blur airdrop that was just for certain NFT holders. That became a multi-billion-dollar crypto, or at least higher than a $1 billion market cap. Just overnight. Nobody really saw it coming. I certainly hadn't heard anything about it. So imagine all the people who have heard about PulseChain, imagine what they're going to be seeing. Imagine what you're going to see whenever PulseChain comes onto the scene. I think it's going to be pretty amazing. I really do. All right, LFG, let's go. So we are going to get to the updates here, just celebrating that we have so many people tuning in. And I think that the numbers will continue to grow and grow because this is the number one topic that people want to hear about on YouTube, that people care about right now in crypto. I dare say people care about PulseChain. That's what people are excited about. That's what's trending, even though it doesn't exist yet, right? So there's history being made at this moment with everything related to PulseChain, with everything related to Hex. What's up, Amanda? What's up, Mike E? Good to see you guys. Mick, time for everyone to wake up again. That's right. Look, this is kind of like a dress rehearsal, getting these updates. It tells us we are one day closer and we're multiple steps closer to PulseChain being launched. And, are you ready? What's your plan? Are you the type that's been tuning in every Tuesday to our shows for Game Theory Gang? Have you been watching all of the other great streamers here in the Hex community? The place that I go myself to see who's live and who's streaming about PulseChain, I go to thepulsetube.com. Thepulsetube.com is where I can see, well, I'm streaming now, of course, but you can find Hex Token, who streams every day, You can find Furu Finance, who streams every day. There's Dollar Cost Crypto. There's people who don't stream every day. Today, earlier, we got a stream from Big Pep and Hexologist. That was a good one because they keep it real. They're the spirit animals of the community, and they're actually doing a meetup down in Florida tomorrow. That'll be really exciting for everybody who participates. They like to do ones that are a little bit more low key. And then what else? We saw Funding Jim host a Twitter Spaces earlier this morning. He has made it a point to create his own Twitter account that has to do with PulseChain Media. And he basically wants to cover all the projects that are being built on PulseChain. Look, I've got a screenshot of just the first 120 projects that are being built on PulseChain. I'll throw it up on the screen right now. Look, this is not even an updated list. The list has gotten longer and longer and longer. And some people are doing their research on this. They're going to Pulse Hotlist. There are lots of other websites. There's hexpulse.com that's up that are covering, what is it that's being built for PulseChain. I just met with my team of developers earlier today because we're creating a way for people to be able to time lock their PulseChain and PulseX tokens. That's been a beautiful strategy for a lot of people in Hex, is being able to have a staking ladder. And so what we have created, and we have the blockchain code done for it. We're getting ready to go to the audit phase, and hoping that we'll be able to launch at the same time PulseChain does, or sooner, on Ethereum. But the idea is, the PulseChain testnet, it's being used. We've been using it. I time locked 1 billion Pulse tokens. There's a lot of exciting stuff happening. And so if you're just tuning in now, hit the like and subscribe button. Get excited. You can feel the energy tonight. It's Saturday night here in the United States. We have half of the audience here on this channel. Normally 2,000 to 10,000 people tuning in per episode. And the people are half in the United States and half all around the world. So we already saw, we've got our Australian friends and European friends who maybe are starting to wake up or getting ready to go to bed, depending on where they're at. But welcome to everybody all around the world who's getting excited about PulseChain updates. Now, I want to make sure I get to actually reading the updates here, but thank you to Hex to the Moon for the $5.55 super chat. I can tell you're just as excited as I am, saying, let's go. All right. Yeah, let's go. And I'll get back to the chat. Better believe it. Let me put my phone on silent here. I had to crack open, another Red Bull just for this occasion. Okay. So a lot of you already read the update on Twitter. This came out about an hour and 3 minutes ago. I'm going to hit the refresh button. We're going to see how many people already saw this tweet. 40,000 people already said, I want to look at this on Twitter. Or Twitter said, you're probably going to want to look at this. The number of likes is already 1,700 likes and 707 retweets. This is like a viral moment on Twitter to have a tweet that's only an hour old, and it's clearly on its way to getting thousands of retweets, to getting many thousands of likes. And, of course, people love the in-depth update from Richard Hart. He doesn't owe it to us. It's exciting stuff. PulseChain is making history. All of the components that are being put together in PulseChain, they've never existed in one place, embedded together in this way before. And we'll talk about that. I really want to make sure everybody gets their questions answered about PulseChain and maybe has a deeper grasp on what it is if you're tuning in maybe for the first time. There are a lot of people who have joined the community or joined the people who are paying attention out of the last year and a half that PulseChain has been under development. And if you go to my YouTube channel, one of the top videos that's been viewed does have to do with Richard Hart announcing PulseChain back in the very early days. He announced it actually on Telegram audio. And so that's something that I had caught. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be streaming about the incentive token this week on Game Theory Gang. We had a really positive response to doing a little bit more PulseChain coverage than we had before when we did our episode this past Tuesday. And some people said that it was their favorite episode that they've ever seen of our team having made 48 episodes together. And so that's definitely something to check out that we did 3 days ago. And that's with Crispy Man of hexfire.io. And he is the #1 person who's brought transparency to the Hex data story. There's nobody else who has created a deeper look into the on-chain behavior of Hex than Crispy Man and his hexfire.io website. And then Course Brissology is an amazing member of the community. He is super knowledgeable about crypto. He's been, all of us guys have been in crypto for many years now. And of course, every day that goes by in crypto feels like it's 3 days long because it's a 24-hour continuing development. So here's where we see the video that I had uploaded an hour and 20 minutes long of Richard Hart actually announcing for the first time using the words PulseChain and covering the Ethereum fork. And if I go here, I just want to check the date so that we have it for the record here. Yeah, this is the Telegram from March 25th, 2021. So we're actually, it's been more than a year and a half, hasn't it? It's been about a year and a half since the sacrifice for PulseChain. But when it comes to the actual announcement of the name PulseChain, that happened, it looks like just under 2 years ago. We're going to be coming up on the 2nd year anniversary of hearing for the first time from Richard that PulseChain was announced. That'll be coming up at the end of next month. So good to get our history right, I would say. And yeah, really fascinating that was kind of before Twitter Spaces took off, was a Telegram voice chat. And even for 6 months after Richard made this announcement, there were Hexicans listening and talking and answering questions around the clock. If you're asking yourself, or you're trying to predict what kind of historic viral event PulseChain launch is going to be, you can imagine something like that. If just the announcement of the name of PulseChain led people to spend 6 months volunteering to answer questions in the Telegram voice chat, I mean, you can only imagine what's going to happen in the future when PulseChain actually launches. How incredible will that be? And I think that there are a number of YouTubers in the space. They are going to do 24-hour streams. They're going to bring the kind of alpha that you can't get anywhere else. There's so much excitement building, and I'm happy to be here celebrating this moment with you, where we've discovered the biggest Richard Hart update that's ever come out about PulseChain just came out an hour ago. So that's what everybody's tuning in for. That's what everybody's hitting the like and subscribe button for. This is the Super Bowl of the pre-PulseChain days. And so that's why I'm going to give it the full coverage that it deserves tonight. Thanks for being here, everybody. Okay, so we'll probably come back to this more than once, but here's the actual tweet from Richard from just over an hour ago. He says, PulseChain.com updates. Testing is going very well. Now for the Prism Pulse and Go Pulse and Lighthouse Pulse. So basically, those are the 3 clients that need to be working together. Those are the 3 pieces of software that are involved. For example, in Ethereum, you have Go ETH. And that's one of the components that needs to go together. I'm trying to remember what Lighthouse is. I think Lighthouse maybe has to do with nodes or something. And then Prism, can't remember that either. But those are the pieces that need to go together in order to have the V3 public testnet. And there have been tons of really smart YouTubers in the cryptocurrency space who have speculated on whether there's going to be a public V3 testnet or whether PulseChain might go immediately to mainnet. Other people expect that it could be months of testing. I've heard estimates, again, from people I respect on when PulseChain will launch that range from, minutes, maybe not minutes. Some people are thinking days and some people are still thinking months. Some people are still thinking that it's months away. But again, if you're just joining now, this is the biggest update we've gotten. 6 tweets, okay? So Richard is confirming that, yes, the private V3 testnet is running. And then he says it's running with, and then he created 4 bullet points here, green check marks. The first one is sacrifice credits. Okay, that's important. We knew that that was a more complicated task than it seemed like it would be, because the sacrifice periods, they included many different types of coins. And to get the exact price of all these types of coins, some of them have very low volume. Some of them could have kind of been spam coins that were sent. We actually saw, if you remember, whenever there was a dog coin that was made up and it was given a fake market cap, and it made it look like somebody sent $1 billion worth of some obscure dog coin into the sacrifice. Well, the sacrifice wallet had to send those coins back to that address as a public statement that basically those coins aren't going to be counted towards the sacrifice credits. So there were a lot of people trying to game the system, we know, when it comes to the sacrifice credits. But there was a technical problem even beyond that, that actually capturing the exact value in all these different thousands of cryptocurrencies that were accepted, it turned out that if you went back, and Richard had said this, that if you went back and you looked at how these different sites were reporting what the price was, there wasn't a clear answer. And the blockchain, in order for it to know the value of something, really needs to have it really needs to have a swap happen. And this was a situation where people were sending coins to the sacrifice address instead of swapping them. And so it became a very complicated task, actually, technically speaking. And so having the sacrifice credits doesn't seem like a big thing, but it's never been done before. And it's something that actually took a bit of technical innovation. I'm glad that it looks like the team has solved that. Now, the other thing that Richard said is running in the private V3 testnet. What else? He said 32 million PLS validator deposit and max effective balance. Okay, we heard hints of this before. What's happening here is that in order to be an Ethereum validator, you have to have 32 ETH. And the way that PulseChain will be different is that, remember, PulseChain is increasing the total supply of PulseChain by 1 million times. And, that's important to keep in mind as we decode the rest of these updates, because remember, one of the biggest things that we're waiting on for the PulseChain devs to complete is what I've called, or what Richard has called, integer expansion. Integer expansion is you need to have more spots to fit your numbers. If the total value of all the PulseChain tokens, that's something that needs to fit on the blockchain. And so you actually have to put together bigger bits of data in order to do that. And so in order for those blocks to be compatible on PulseChain with the forked Ethereum code, that forked Ethereum code is going to have to be updated to accept bigger numbers. And so that's an important point to remember as we decode these updates, is the context of what we've learned before. And then this is also a really important piece of game theory is the fact that it says max effective balance. And so what that means, I believe, the way that I would interpret that is that if you put 64 million pulse into a single address and then deposit it as a validator, that doesn't get you more rewards than somebody who's put in 32. Now, if you have a different interpretation, feel free to leave it in the comments, and I will be getting to the comments here. Don't worry, I'm not gonna leave you guys with any questions. Hopefully by the end of this. So, 32 million a pulse to be a validator, and having that be the maximum effective balance. That's something that Richard had hinted at before, and now it looks like it's working on the PulseChain v3 private testnet. 10 S slots, that looks like it means 10-second slots. And what I'm assuming that means is 10-second blocks. Again, if you're interpreting any of these updates differently than I am, please leave a comment. I'll get to it, and then the audience and everybody will be educated, including myself. Okay, what's the other thing that Richard is listing is working? Consensus layer reward burning. Ooh, I like the sound of that. Consensus layer reward burning. Remember, everything's being built in when it comes to PulseChain, including PulseX, a native DEX that is able to, be fee burning itself. Well, it looks like PulseChain will be fee burning, and so I'm not sure if this is going to be different than what we have in ETH 2.0 already. But I do like the idea here. It says consensus layer reward burning, and that compensates for faster slots with a plus 25% burn on top. So basically what we see in Ethereum right now is that Ethereum is either deflationary or inflationary based on how many transactions there are, what the volume of transactions is. And so I believe that PulseChain actually recently got changed from being purely deflationary to actually having the same exact formula that Ethereum has. And I like that Richard Hart, he's the type where he will update his worldview. And if he sees something working in the real world, you better bet he's going to take that piece and plug it in to all the key critical pieces of infrastructure that he's building. Remember, this is not just a horizontal scaling solution for fitting more transactions on the blockchain, but it's kind of like a vertical scaling in the sense that you're going to have all the things that you need in one place when it comes to having basically a Uniswap fork built in to an Ethereum fork that it's the first airdrop in history where everybody's getting a copy of their coins in something that's been pre-planned. I mean, I know that we had the Ethereum proof of work fork that led to two different chains that kind of split off and almost died out, but they're still going. I said it then and I'll say it now. That was our dress rehearsal for PulseChain. I paid a lot of attention. I streamed for like 25 hours. I also had COVID that day or that month. So I definitely, it was good timing for me to be able to cover what happened on the ETH proof of work fork. But everybody got a copy of their hex on that chain. And but it didn't have all of the pieces built in that Richard is planning. So that's the super exciting part of knowing that we're going to be taking the pieces of everything that works in crypto and putting it all together in a unique way. When people were fudding, well, I don't want to say fudding. When people were criticizing PulseChain, they were saying that it's just a copy pasta or copy paste of Ethereum 2.0. Well, if you've been paying attention, it's more than that. And, I've even got the testnet pulled up here so that we can admire the beauty of having everything in one place. Let's keep going with this update. I see 355 people watching live, thousands on the replay. I'm reporting this because it's an exciting moment in Hex history. It's an exciting moment in PulseChain history. This is the largest update we've ever seen from Richard Hart concerning PulseChain, and it just came an hour ago. Hit the like and subscribe button. Chat each other up. Share your excitement in the comments section. That's what this is all about, is making history. So thanks for being here, everybody. Check the price of Hex here. Still sitting about 10% higher than it was even 2 hours ago. All right. Let's keep going. Let's keep going on this tweet. We covered 2 of the 6 tweets that were updates from Richard. And keep watching till the end if you really want to educate yourself the most on this video, because I will go through the comments and see if anybody had a different interpretation for any of these updates, because we are going to get into the more technical side of things now. Richard says, as for the client setup, first bullet point, validator nodes, Prism validator and Prism beacon and Go Pulse, 256 validator keys distributed across 4x validator nodes. Yeah, I don't really know the technical details behind that. I'm assuming that that's a security measure, or it's either something that's worked really well in the broader crypto space, or it's something that Richard figured out needed to be added. And that's why they've got it working on the PulseChain testnet. Well, see, these bullet points are in a different style than the bullet points above. So I'm not sure if this refers to things that have already been set up or things that need to be set up. But let's try to keep breaking it down. So under client setup, you've got the validator nodes we just talked about, and then you've got the API nodes, and that's Prism, Beacon, and Go Pulse. And then you've got the boot nodes that are Prism, Beacon, and Go Pulse times 2. Now, I think that the Beacon sidechain is part of what makes Ethereum 2.0 work. And so it makes sense that you would want to have all of that synced up and copied over, because as you'll see in some of the next updates that Richard says, you're going to want to stay compatible with Ethereum 2.0, because Ethereum 2.0 actually hasn't finished releasing. And you can speculate for yourself whether you think that Ethereum 2.0 got rushed to market because they knew Richard was working on PulseChain. I just saw a picture again today of Ethereum from about 6 months ago. Of Vitalik from about 6 months ago, the founder of Ethereum, and he had a big bulge in his pants. It looked like this is like the silliest thing ever. But it looked like he was imitating Richard Hart with like outrage marketing, and it was really fascinating to see. If you never saw that on Twitter, you can look it up. It looks like he's it looks like he's goofing around, and he's got he stuck something in his pants to to create outrage. And you can see how the Ethereum community responds differently and similarly than the Hex community does to that outrage marketing. But that's something that Vitalik did right before he released Ethereum 2.0 that they had been talking about actually since the beginning of Ethereum. So they had been talking about this for 6 to 8 years, and then just finally released it. It was on September 15th, I believe, that Ethereum 2.0 launched. And so that's important in us understanding what's happening with PulseChain, because PulseChain pivoted from being a fork of BSV chain, which is a fork of Ethereum. Richard pivoted to saying, okay, now that Ethereum 2.0 is released, it's working well after September 15th, then he said, all right, we're going to be forking the most up-to-date code. And the reason for that is because you want the cross compatibility with all of the smart contracts that are written on Ethereum, all of the protocols, all of the entire ecosystem. There are a lot of PulseChain projects that are copying over things that worked on Ethereum that, we don't know that Richard's going to be copying over. There's a whole world of decentralized applications out there, and it's more than even one team can handle or one founder can handle. So hit the like and subscribe button now if you're enjoying this content. In the comments, why don't you say, what is the most exciting project to you outside of what Richard is building? Which one do you like better, PulseChain or PulseX? Do you like the incentive token? What's your favorite Richard Hart coin that'll be coming out? And what's your favorite non-Richard Hart coin that's going to be on PulseChain? That'd be a great point for discussion. Let me see here. I don't want to lose all the comments, but oh, hey, Funding Jam, good to see you there. Can you comment on the available liquidity range on Uniswap V3? Yeah, that's something we could get to. You must be indicating that there's something there that is of interest. So I'll circle back to that question. And again, as I was saying earlier in the stream, I really appreciate everything that Gary does for the community. And if you're not subscribed to Funding Jam on Twitter and YouTube, definitely check him out. He's one of the greatest of all time. Now, here when it comes to the rest of the 6 tweets that Richard released. Oh, wait. Okay. So to finish that thought, the idea here is that what are the next updates that we want to be compatible with? Well, it has to do with unstaking. And so we'll get to that tweet here in a second. So under the list of things that need to be apparently need to be set up or are in progress there on the PulseChain private testnet includes another bullet point here for the archive node. And that's where Prism Beacon and GoPulse, where they're needing to sync and run in parallel. Remember, the Beacon chain is part of Ethereum 2.0 that helps put together all the transactions and the history that goes together with the validation, the consensus methods and everything. And so in parentheses, it says ×1, and this is including the full 13 terabytes of ETH mainnet history. That's a lot of blockchain data because, we all know blockchain is basically a slow database that is really valuable. So the other bullet point here is that there's a Lighthouse node that also ×1 needs to be synced with Lighthouse and GoPulse. It also says here that the network is now 8,400 slots into our new Beacon chain. And that's at block 16,501,037 without a hiccup. And so not exactly sure what Richard means here when he says is now at 8,400 slots. I'm not sure if that's the number of validators or the block height. He's saying 10-second slots up here. So that might be part of the equation. Okay, so moving on to the second to last tweet here in this 6-part update that Richard gave is it says Aragon has a problem that they introduced recently. So he's talking about the developers of Aragon, which is separate from PulseChain. And so it says devs are rolling back. I'm assuming Richard means his devs are rolling back to a version before they introduced that bug. Okay, very important to catch all the bugs that are out there in the wild and to be able to roll back to the last thing that worked successfully. So that's that may have been the bug that he was talking about where the sync failed the synchronization failed before, at that 16.5 millionth block, that we got an update about, what was about 10 days ago now. That's the last time we got an update from Richard. Okay, so here it says, withdrawing after staking on PulseChain will require the upstream changes from Ethereum mainnet, that's the Shanghai fork, to work for them, which can then be merged into PulseChain when the devs see it's worked out well for the Ethereum 2.0 chain. Okay, so what that means that, as I was just saying, Ethereum 2.0 is not, it's not a full release. It's a partial release of software. And when you hear this idea that there's going to be a bunch of Ethereum that becomes unstaked all at once, what that means is that the way Ethereum 2.0 has been running is, if you lock up your Ethereum to become a validator, you don't get to unlock it. The code for that doesn't exist yet. Can you believe that? Can you believe that the Ethereum Foundation and that the founder of Ethereum was so rushed to release Ethereum 2.0 before PulseChain came out? I would speculate. He was so rushed to do it, he didn't even give people the option to be able to unlock the Ethereum that they put into the validator pool. Now, sure, you could say, oh, it didn't have anything to do with Richard. Vitalik's bulge photo, that didn't have anything to do with Richard. I mean, that'd be a pretty weak argument to say that, but sure, you could say that. I want to present both sides. But what you have to admit also is that there's an interesting game theory here. There's an interesting game theory to say, all right, everybody lock up your coins if you want to be a validator, if you want to earn part of the fees of the network, and you want to, prove that proof of stake works, right? We just got that on September 15th. We got the confirmation that proof of stake as a consensus mechanism, as a way to validate that a blockchain is not having double spends, that there's no inflation bug occurring. It was never proven at the scale that it's proven now with Ethereum 2.0. That's the software that PulseChain is copying, is this, very impressive, proven thing that works on Ethereum, which is not using ASIC miners, not using supercomputers to double check all the transactions in every block to stop a double spend. That's the old way of doing things. Ethereum now is no longer burning up the environment, running all these supercomputers to validate that there are no double spends, because Ethereum 2.0 allows stakers, basically validators, to stake ETH, and then they can lose their staking rewards if they screw up and cause a double spend to happen, or even if they have any downtime. And that's really interesting stuff. It'll be really curious to see how the game theory plays out on PulseChain, where you need 32 million Pulse tokens in order to be a staker, to be a validator there. Whereas on Ethereum, you need 32 ETH. Now, if we go back to Nomics, here we can see, okay, the price of Hex is about the same as the last time we checked a few minutes ago. No problem there. But let's see how much is it costing people to be an Ethereum validator these days, and then we can calculate it also for PulseChain. So 32 Ethereum these days is costing you $54,000. Now, when it comes to PulseChain, I can do the math pretty easily in my head, because I know that most people were sacrificing at a rate of 10,000 points per dollar. And so if you need 32 million Pulse to be a validator in the PulseChain system, then that means that it is costing you about $3,200 of what you're having to put up on the table to stake. Now, again, I want to reiterate on this point of Richard's update having to do with the Shanghai update, because that's something we don't have it yet. It doesn't exist on Ethereum 2.0. There's actually no way to get your coins off of Ethereum 2.0 once you've validated them yet. The Ethereum Foundation will continue to work on that solution. And then for their chain, it might lead to a bigger decrease in the price of Ethereum than anybody really wants, once they have this huge supply of Ethereum that comes back onto the market that's been unlocked all at once. And so that'll be really fascinating to see. What Richard is saying here is that we're going to get to watch how that merge goes. Well, on Ethereum's roadmap, they have the merge is actually where they merge together the beacon chain and the validator code for consensus. And so, again, we're going to get to see what works and what doesn't, and then we'll implement it on the fly after PulseChain has already been released. So this is something that leads me to speculate that PulseChain might come out before the Shanghai fork of Ethereum 2.0. As I've been saying here, as so many people are joining, I just want to reiterate this point. Ethereum 2.0 launched, but it's incomplete code. There's no way to unlock your validated tokens. And so that's why it'll be so interesting to see how this goes down. All right. And then, so that's pretty big news right there. That's a big deal. Hit the like and subscribe button, share this out. If there's somebody out there who wanted to make sense of this whole PulseChain thing, of what updates were coming out. Basically what I'm saying is, once PulseChain is already live, I mean, I guess Richard could be saying that PulseChain is still going to be under development. He could be talking about it merging with the PulseChain testnet, but whether PulseChain is live, PulseChain could go live before the Ethereum 2.0 Shanghai fork comes out. It just depends on being able to do those things I mentioned earlier. If you haven't watched from the beginning of the stream, make sure to catch up there, because you want to be able to see you want to be able to see all those updates that I brought to you explaining everything. All right. Okay, so I'm going to get to all the comments and all the questions. If you have a question, I'll make sure to answer it. I don't mind streaming for multiple hours, and I want to make sure to get to everybody. So in Richard's last tweet, he's saying here, thus the PulseChain devs are working on both the rolled back Aragon version and a potential fix to their newest version. That's the one with the bug. Both clients are currently syncing to test the fixes. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I asked people whether they thought I should go live on YouTube to hype up this PulseChain update. And 415 people answered in the first hour and said yes. The only choices were yes and yes. And I'm happy to say 100% of people said yes. So that's a beautiful thing. Cool. And that's about how many people we have here live who are tuning in and watching. PulseChain is the largest airdrop of all time. If you have a coin on the Ethereum network, no matter what ERC20 coin it is, it's going to get copied over onto PulseChain. And then it's going to create a situation where you can actually liquidity farm and you can earn yield in perhaps a trustless way. And that's something that up until now, you've really only been able to do with Hex at the scale that we're talking about. This is going to scale things up even further. This is going to show people what it's all about to integrate something where you have a native DEX, you have the largest anticipation of any crypto launch product of all time. Remember, when Satoshi invented Bitcoin, nobody cared. People cared so little that they wouldn't even run their computers for free using 25 cents of electricity to get thousands and thousands of Bitcoins, right? Satoshi had to beg people on his mailing list to even check out the thing that he had solved, which is basically solving the double spend problem. And in this case, in today, 2023, it's a lot different than back then in 2008, 2009, when Satoshi was hyping up his thing. Now there are 120,000 wallets that participated in the PulseChain sacrifice. And there are even more than that following Richard now. There are people out there who have heard of PulseChain. They're not even following Richard. He has 300,000 subscribers on Twitter, followers, and over 100,000 on YouTube. The crazy statistic about Richard's following too is that his numbers are off the charts for YouTube when it comes to the number of people who are actually tuning in and hanging on his every word. He spoke at the Hex conference that I hosted again this past January. And look, that's back when Hex was all the way down at 2.3 cents. It had been down to 1.7, just earlier at the start of the year. And Richard spoke at that. He answered everybody's questions. He stayed on for 4.5 hours. That stream is getting close to 100,000 views. And at least on my channel, where I can see a third of the views came from, I'm seeing that people tuned in and paid attention for over a half an hour. So the millions of minutes that were generated are really incredible. And so again, I want to emphasize that PulseChain's launch will be different than any other launch that's occurred in crypto. Look at the Blur airdrop that happened, where there was tons of high gas fees happening in the past week. Nobody heard of that ahead of time. And, another curious thing is that, and I haven't really heard anybody say this yet, maybe they have, but it's a good bit of alpha for you. Imagine if there was a huge spike in transaction fees on the Ethereum mainnet whenever PulseChain launches, because so many people are bridging assets over to PulseChain. Think of how much of a splash that would make in the crypto world, where everybody has to pay attention because everybody's fees are affected. How incredible of a thing would that be? We're already seeing with this Blur airdrop that happened in the past week. That's kind of a dress rehearsal for what can happen now that Ethereum is 2.0 and a major airdrop happens. The PulseChain airdrop isn't just going to be for NFT people. It's going to be for people within every single part of the Ethereum ecosystem. So imagine on a much larger scale. I mean, could you imagine if the gas fees on Ethereum didn't just spike to 500? What if they spiked to 5,000? What if the Ethereum blockchain became suddenly unusable because everybody was fleeing the high fee situation or becoming trapped in a panic, just begging to bridge their assets over on Pulse Ramp or Pulse Bridge that's here on the PulseChain testnet already. Now this PulseChain testnet that's live, that's public, the PulseChain.com one that's nicknamed V2B, that is still, to my knowledge, using the old software from Ethereum. So it's only on V3 that we're going to get to see the Ethereum 2.0 forked code. This is still running the BSV fork that's outdated. Now, there was some speculation that other crypto entities were copying some of the stuff on PulseChain. I dug deep into that claim, and I actually found on the Wayback Machine for it to not be true. It looked like, if anything, PulseChain was copying the setup that had worked, let's say at Binance and other places. And it's all open source stuff to my knowledge. And so that's what you get in crypto. Is ideally you want to have competition. You want to have taking everything that works and putting it all together in one place. The bridge here, pulseramp.com. Here is the testnet version of the PulseChain bridge. And I have not played around with this yet. Let me see if I'm even on the right testnet. Okay, so this is something that I think is going to be a part of the equation that could cause everybody to, in Ethereum, to take note of what's happening on PulseChain, to have this well, the largest crypto event of all time. Bitcoin launching was not the largest crypto event of all time. Ethereum launching was not the largest crypto event of all time. PulseChain launching is anticipated to be the largest crypto event of all time when it comes to how large the airdrop is, how many people are paying attention. All these things matter. They're force multipliers on each other. You already have a community of people who are experienced at streaming. Look, when Hex launched, do you think that there were 150, 200 streamers? I've had 150 different people on my channel who each have their own YouTube channel. You don't have that in any other crypto, to my knowledge, of everybody working together. And I hope that that really is a lesson, maybe to like humanity, or like to everybody outside of crypto even. Why should you care about crypto? Well, maybe it's because crypto allows people to coordinate and work together in a way that hasn't existed in the world because of aligned incentives, because because we're all here to figure out how to deal with sudden wealth syndrome, to deal with self-improvement, to make the best crypto products and the best community possible. It's not just something that I care about because I'm a retired therapist. It has to do with the fact that I recognize that the community is the layer 0. Ethereum is a layer 1. PulseChain will be a layer 1. Bitcoin is a layer 1. It's the layer 0, the social consensus. That's part of what gives these things value, is people agreeing together that that is the case, that these things are valuable. And so I can't hardly understate how important it's going to be to have PulseChain launching, to have the attention of the entire Ethereum and broader world. It could make world news that everybody's freaking out and bailing on Ethereum because they've been trapped by these super high gas fees. Now, I can't, I can't always predict the future. I do have a DeLorean, like in the movie Back to the Future, but because of the way that time travel works, I can't always be 100% accurate in my calls. I will brag on this. I did tweet that I bought Hex at 1.7 cents, and you can check the timestamp on that. But basically what I'm saying is I can't guarantee to you that that the gas fees will spike, but that seems like a pretty obvious prediction that I'm making that I haven't necessarily heard a lot of people say. So, and then there's also the question of how will people bridge in fiat value? We know that because of Hart's Law, we know that when people are buying an altcoin, they usually have to buy Ethereum first. And then that value, so Ethereum goes up in value temporarily, or it's creating buy pressure on Ethereum. And then that buy pressure gets transferred into the token that people are wanting to buy. Let's call it Hex or a dog coin or whatever it is. So it'll be really interesting to see if there are any centralized exchanges that decide to list PulseChain from the very beginning, because what that's going to mean is that it will actually take some of the traffic off of Ethereum, I could see the Pulse ecosystem winning either way. Okay. If you start off on a centralized exchange, then you have lots of fiat being able to pump your bags, being able to create buy pressure directly on Pulse and directly on everything that's built on Pulse, which is going to activate all these like fee burning features in PulseChain. It's going to activate fee burning in Pulse X because people are swapping. They're, let's say, bridged in Ethereum for Pulse. People are going to be doing that on PulseChain. And so if people can buy directly from a fiat on-ramp, and we know that our friends, that there are actually lots of friends of the community that are doing this. That's a really exciting thing. 0x Coast is the one I was thinking of, that they're making fiat on-ramps in lots of different countries that'll utilize a exciting method of keeping money in your bank account that then is tokenized on the blockchain. But we've also heard rumors that maybe OKX will list. And again, I want to point out how important it was for you to have been paying attention when these other Ethereum forks launched, such as ETHW, because what you would have noticed, as I did, is this pattern that there are a set of exchanges that like to be first, centralized exchanges that like to be first in listing stuff. And maybe they weren't the primary exchanges that were around when Hex launched, right? So it's like getting a redo of them trying to see if something's suitable. Another thing that's different about the PulseChain launch compared to the Hex launch is that some of these exchanges could have sacrificed for PulseChain. Exchanges like to get a bunch of the coins up front before they do the listing. They say because they want to create liquidity. Oftentimes it can be because they're corrupt and they want to get paid, and they want to like dump the token, be the first to dump the token onto anybody who wants to buy in. The advantage of PulseChain having been able to absorb all the buy pressure it could take, well, it's not really being bought, but the sacrifice phase, people, getting sacrifice points, becoming part of the sacrifice set of users who would get airdropped PulseChain tokens, because people are believing in free speech, freedom of movement, those types of things. All that is still really important to recognize. What I'm saying economically, though, or when it comes to the game mechanics of how decentralized, or basically how centralized and decentralized networks bridge together. Basically, what I'm saying is it matters that some of these exchanges, they might be planning to list PulseChain from the get-go, and that would be a different situation than with Hex. The exchanges and then you've got all the YouTube influencers who didn't tell their audiences about sacrificing for PulseChain, but Richards called them out that they probably did. Of course, he might not know for certain, but the names we're thinking of, we're already starting to see massive support for PulseChain, is from Ivan on Tech. BitBoy may have sacrificed as well. And then there are always going to be others that we don't know of. A lot of people in the Hex community sacrificed for PulseChain, and that's a different set of backers than you've ever had in any crypto launch before. Those are people that experienced a 200x, a 1000x, a 10,000x on their coins. And now they're super excited to see how much more wealth they can accumulate by being right. It's that simple. Sometimes you're just right. And sure, everybody in crypto thinks that they're a genius when they get mad gains, but I guess it'll be yet to be proven. But we're all, anxiously waiting on the edge of our seats to see how is PulseChain going to perform. What's the price performance going to look like? But just to wrap up that point that I was making, look, if PulseChain gets listed immediately on centralized exchanges, that means people don't have to buy Ethereum, and people can transfer the value of their fiat directly into PulseChain, directly into the PulseChain ecosystem. If and I see that as something that could be good. If, on the other hand, centralized exchanges all refuse to list PulseChain from the get-go, that means that everybody's going to have to put their buy pressure through Ethereum, and then that's going to clog up the Ethereum blockchain potentially. That's going to lead to excessively high fees on PulseChain. And while from an individual point of view, that creates higher fees and a worse experience and more money kind of just lost to the congestion on the network, people having a really bad experience on Ethereum will make them that much more enthusiastic about PulseChain. It'll be that much more of an aha moment when everybody realizes that they can't do whatever they're used to doing on the blockchain. They can't do it today because the Ethereum gas fees are 500 or 5,000 Gwei. And so everybody's going to take note. They're going to go on Twitter and they're going to see this viral event like nothing they've ever seen before, where people are just screaming from the rooftops. It's flooding the entire Twitter algorithm. People can't get away from it. All the noise that'll be made when PulseChain launches. So I see those things working together. And if everybody does have a horrible experience with gas fees on that day, that might make them that much more likely to click on pulsechain.com and access their free copy of their coins and see what it's like. What some of us experienced. It's been 3 years now since we got to do swaps that were only pennies on Ethereum. I remember those days. Those were my early days in DeFi. That was right after Uniswap was invented. So Uniswap actually hasn't really existed. Even the technology hasn't existed for more than 6 months in a low fee environment where there's virality, where there's critical mass of people. If PulseChain can create a critical mass of people with a forked copy of Uniswap on a proof of stake chain where everybody has a free copy of their coins, that's going to be the layer 0 piece that needs to go together. So that's another part where me as a self-proclaimed crypto psychologist, where I can come in and say, I bet I can see how the layer 0 is going to go. I bet I can see how the psychology of the masses is going to go in this situation where you have 200 YouTubers who are bursting at the seams, ready to live stream when PulseChain goes live, where you have everybody smashing the like button on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, and especially on Twitter, because crypto Twitter is where everybody goes to get their news these days, whether they're in, mainstream finance to some extent, but definitely in crypto and definitely in DeFi. That's where people go. And that's where they're going to see the big announcement once PulseChain's ready. So shout out to everybody who made it here for this update. Thanks for being here, everybody. And, we're going to keep taking a peek at the price of Hex. It's still about the same as it was when Richard made his biggest update that he has so far. And that's really exciting. Let me just double check and make sure that he hasn't said anything else. And then we'll get back to the chat. I think I've done a pretty good breakdown in this first hour of what I can interpret the updates mean, and then to give you some of the context that you needed in order to interpret where are we really with PulseChain, where what are the pieces that we're putting together from the past in crypto, what worked. So hit the like and subscribe button and ask your questions now. Bob Lagai, thanks for the $5.55 super chat. RH should start pre-announcing the schedule for announcements of future updates to take us all back to the ICO days. Well, that would certainly be one way to do it. And I'm not sure that that's Richard's style, but he's out here at least giving us the biggest update we've seen. I like that. And again, we're about coming up on about 2 hours since this update came out. It's been almost exactly 2 hours. And we've seen a doubling, more than a doubling of the number of views that this tweet has gotten, 66,000 now. with 2,300 likes and 902 retweets. So if you want to help get this tweet its first 1,000 retweets, then I'm going to drop it in the comments, and you can go on Twitter and get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. I would be really sad if I realized I was muted like the whole time since the last time I checked chat, but I think it's all good. All right. Good to see you, Funny and Jim. Luke Scott. I'm not set on the toilet. I have a broken clavicle still, and so I have to sit really weird in order to not be in pain. But thanks for asking. I would definitely tell you. We went through this with Hex. Crypto Surfer 369. I was a day 3 Hexakin. I was paying attention to Hex probably a month or two before it came out, but others certainly were there for a couple of years before Hex came out. So I can only, now I can imagine the pain. I couldn't before. Anders Pulse, good to see you there. PLS or die, says Omid. KZ, true. His Hexcellency. Bang, bang. Thanks, Maddie, for coming on and bringing us together. Hey, my pleasure. I always love a good live stream myself, so figured I would hype it up. What's up, Cryptic Life? David Gomez. Ali Kane, good to see you there. Lots of people here in the Hex community. They've shown their face. They've created videos. It's truly incredible to see how many people are willing to testify for this product. Hex the Ripper. Hexicans will be who the OG ETH holders are now. Just hold, stake, and be patient. Definitely. Ryan P thinks 6 cents Hex is incoming. We will see. There might be people who are selling on the news. I think that there's probably a lot more news to come in, but it's been a brutal bear market. And so we certainly won't fault people who are, I guess, playing a short-term game if we're the ones playing a long-term game. Positive vibes. That's right. Hex Sean. One day closer for sure. We will flip BNB in 2025. That would be great. I'd be happy with that. Let me see here. Am I actually looking away from the screen when I'm reading? That seems ineffective. What's up, Hexicans? 8-bit Hex. Yo, what's going on? Good to see you there. And I want to, again, make a note that if anybody wants to come to my next mass Hex meetup, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be at the Bitcoin conference, May 18th through 20th. And you can get tickets at hexpomiami.com. Really exciting. I think that it's going to be probably smaller than the last meetup I did. I do hold the world record for the largest Hex meetup. And who knows, maybe if PulseChain is already out by May, maybe my meetup will blow up even bigger than ever before. But for now, definitely check that out. Get the details now because tickets are going fast. I've heard when testnet V3 is live that Hex will be 20 or 30 cents. Well, it all depends on how many people come in and want to buy it at that price. But that would be something now, wouldn't it? For context, when PulseChain was launched, when PulseChain was announced, the price of Hex had already gotten up, I think, to 5 cents. Then it had fallen down right before PulseChain was announced, back down to, I think, in the 3 cent range. And now, so that was back now almost 2 years ago. At the end of March, it'll be 2 years since Richard said the name PulseChain for the first time. So it quickly went above 5 cents and then just climbed from there all the way to 50 cents and did its final 10x to complete the 10,000x. So when PulseChain was announced, the idea of it, Hex had already done a 1000x and then it did a 10x more all the way to 10,000x. Incredible. Don't forget about the one and only big homie, Whales Only. That's right. And don't forget about the Hex Asians streamers every Monday, for sure. Look, there are so many hex streamers that I could name. I would be here all day, and I might do it later on. But definitely go to thepulsetube.com to see who's streaming live at any time. Pretty much around the clock, people are streaming about hex. And I can see, looks like Serena Alonzi went live now too. Let's see. Just think, Genesis ETH. Oh, wait, she's not live anymore. Okay. Genesis ETH holders had almost zero on-chain tools. No Aave, no liquidity, no Uniswap. DeFi was a joke compared to now. I would totally agree with that, Bob Lagai. People who have Genesis PulseChain tokens are starting with so many more tools. It's incredible. And there are some tools out there that some people believe will decrease the sell pressure on PulseChain. And that's yet to be seen, but I believe it's like Liquid Loans is an example of a protocol that's designed to try to allow people to access some of their value without selling per se. Funding Jib has quite a job there. That's right. He's covering over 150 projects that are launching on PulseChain under the Twitter handle PulseChain Media. PLSD in Thailand, PulseChain and Pulse Dogecoin will be massive on Pulse. There you go. I asked people to say, what is your favorite coin that was created by Richard Hart and that's not created by Richard Hart? Jamie Crypto, is that the person who's been getting millions of views on TikTok? Hey, shout out to you either way. Cryptic Life, what's up, guys? Ash says, hit the like button. And yeah, Hex was pumping the price there for the first hour after the update, and then now it's sitting about 5% higher than it was 24 hours ago. So that's interesting, and we'll continue to monitor that because that's anybody's guess what Hex can do in the meantime before PulseChain comes out. I was joking in Dollar Cost Crypto's chat last night. I was joking that PulseChain might not come out until May 2024. Look, we don't know. Software is hard. There are too many unknown unknowns. But what I do know today that I didn't know last night is that Richard Hart just gave his biggest update of all time when it comes to PulseChain in terms of the number of details, the amount of progress that's been made, multiple steps closer to V3 and then also to mainnet. Now, if we want to break down that point right there, how long will V3 exist before we get PulseChain mainnet? I started to talk about that topic a little bit earlier tonight. There's so much to cover. I just went on a tangent that was probably really valuable. But now that we're back to this point, it gets to be a question of what are we going to see there? And I think that it's anybody's guess what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, that's the strength that we have of having so many people commenting, of having 200 people covering this with each their own YouTube channel. You're going to get, your K4K crypto, you're going to get Hex Tangent, you're going to get everybody weighing in on this. You're going to get Cabana Crypto, you're going to get Funding Gym, you're going to get everybody's opinion. And there's a giant Twitter following that is going to help to answer some of these questions. And then some of it, it's not going to be predictable. It's just going to be a point of, we have to see what we get. If you want me to give you at least the range of what we could see, I believe that V3 testnet could get skipped. I think that's a low probability, but there might be a 10% chance that would happen. And as I said earlier, that would happen because maybe you're worried about somebody copying all of the code that you've got completed there. And you're that confident in it working. I think it's much more likely. I think it's, 10 times more likely that we're going to get a short PulseChain testnet V3. And look, Richard, he can't control the free market. And, it's not like he could even stop the traders from doing their thing. So you could see a run up in hex. You could see a massive run up and then a massive dump as people are anticipating, you know, the buy the rumors, sell the news event. However, you're going to have such a viral event. As I was saying earlier, you have all these pieces coming together. You might have high fees on the Ethereum blockchain, and you might have this alternative that grabs everybody's attention all at once. That's the moment where all eyes will be on us covering PulseChain and covering the launch. And you know, I haven't talked about this in a long time, but there are tons of people who are bringing up their guesses as to how to play this whole thing. I'm not a trader, and so you know, I could still at least tell you what all the trading strategies are that people are saying. Some people, they want to hold US dollar coin so that they can buy any dip that occurs when PulseChain launches. For other people, they've been dollar cost averaging into Hex, anticipating being able to spend that Hex on PulseChain tokens or PulseX tokens or whatever their favorite thing is going to be. Like I said, there's 150 projects launching all at once. But you know, I think a different way, and then there are going to be some people who just like put their coins into cold storage and they don't touch them for a super long time. I think that there are going to be people who are yield farming. They're trying to get an incentive token. They're trying to look in game the differential that you saw between the number of people who sacrificed for PulseX being 120,000 wallets, and then there were about 40,000 wallets that sacrificed for PulseChain. So you might see a significant number of those PulseX people trying to get PulseChain, trying to trade their PulseX for PulseChain tokens. But it seems like whatever you think is going to happen, maybe the opposite happens. Because at the end of the day, not everybody can sell the top and buy the bottom, even statistically speaking. And so I think it'll be really interesting. Some people might, you know, sell Hex right before the fork happens, but it's not exactly clear how Richard is going to play it, how the launch is going to go. But the more people kind of hash out all the different possibilities and all the different details, the more I think the people who are educated and who are putting in the time to learn, the more they're going to see. So why don't you tell me what in the comments, what you think the best strategy is going to be to play Hex, to play PulseChain, the ratio trading that'll exist for a couple days before PulseChain, before the bridge opens up in PulseChain. We're expecting that there will be a day or two where it's only Hex that's going to be trading on PulseChain, and that'll be the Pulse Hex, I believe, the Pulse copy. So that'll be really fascinating to see. And if you watch my Tuesday shows, we're always coming up with new theories about how all this stuff is going to play out. I'm probably going to lose my voice. I'm so excited, but hey, I'm okay with that. Haters will buy at higher prices. Oh, viral is an understatement. Wait until launch. It's going to be game time. Benny Blanco, what's up? We've made the ETH miners rich, though. Yeah. Well, all it takes is one bad experience when people have an alternative, and then that's when you get something big happening. And remember, in crypto, things tend to snowball. If Ethereum fees go up high enough and there's a clear narrative of what's happening, that everybody's fleeing to PulseChain, and there's no other explanation, then you can imagine the panic that might set in for some people, and they might start panic trading to buy PulseChain or to buy Hex or to do anything. You know, that's certainly not probably the smartest thing to do, but you can imagine just an unbelievable event. Crazy. Hello, all. My online ghost, Sandy Beach. Good to see you there. Pineapple XE. Be healthy. That's right. People saying hi to each other in the chat. Tarnwig is here. Good to see you. Almo. All right. Crypto psychologist Maddie, do you have a background in psychology? Yes, I do. I have a master's degree in psychology, and I've been studying the crypto markets for multiple hours per day for multiple years. And the time machine DeLorean helps too, to like understand what's going to happen. But yeah, I would say crypto psychology, it's a huge fascination for me. It's something that I've specialized in. And so whether it's the therapy side of things, which is understanding sudden wealth syndrome in the last bull market, and then the opposite of that, people seeing their number go down, even if they're staked, still has a huge psychological impact on people. And so I talk to people on Thursday nights. I've been streaming live for 116 weeks straight. And I do a show on Thursday night where I talk about self improvement, in general topics in Hex to keep people engaged to the self help narrative, to the idea that we're all going to be better versions of ourselves when we can, become financially free, but also be working on ourselves. And then on Tuesday nights, I do Game Theory Gang, and that used to be called Quant Gang, and that's where I bring together lots of guests, but also a core group of people who have been in crypto for a long time and can provide commentary on the other side of crypto psychology, which is the psychology of the markets and the how data about what's the state of the blockchain, what are the trades people are doing, what are the tokenomics, what are basically what is the game theory and the quantitative analysis that goes together to create the market psychology that that people have. So yeah, I'm very deep in all forms of crypto psychology. And then you get the cycle of market emotions. I've got a chart of that I can share here just to further emphasize this point of crypto psychology, because it is very important to how people interact with financial markets. And what you can see here is that we're probably in the stage of disbelief, and that's kind of right after depression. I actually don't think disbelief is specified on this chart itself, but people go through panic and anger and depression, and then they get hope, and then they get relief, and then they get optimism. So we'd be in between like kind of depression and relief, with hope in the middle there. And then once people are optimistic again, that's what creates the self-reflective markets, or it's the reflexive markets. And so what happens is people get optimistic and the price goes up and they buy more, and then they get excited and they buy more and the price goes up, and then they get thrill and euphoria. And that's what creates these market bubbles that are the same no matter what the market is in a free market, semi-free market, because that's how people are programmed psychologically. So it's really fascinating that you see similar patterns in all these different markets. And so that's something to note. Now, the reflexivity of crypto markets in particular is part of a point that I was going to make earlier about what might happen even if there's a low liquidity situation, and especially if there's a low liquidity situation, you could see the price of Hex do things that you wouldn't think was possible. And the way that you would see that is that you could imagine everybody who's waiting for 10-cent Hex or 50-cent Hex or $5 Hex, they could all sell too early. And that could create a really, really scarce situation for people who are wanting to buy in to the train that's leaving the station, the rocket ship that just won't stop. It's certainly possible as well, all things considered, that Hex could dump significantly. Hex could go below a penny if the God whale decided to send it there. I just don't see the game theory of them doing that, but it's in the cards. It's a possibility. It's just not the most likely outcome. Just like it's not a likely outcome that everybody would sell their house at the same moment and then there would be a crash, or that everybody would sell their truck at the same moment and then the price of that would crash. Because at some point, people might stop selling, and at some point, people might end up FOMOing in if the price is going up. But reflexivity, remember, it works both ways. And so you want to be on the right side of that. Let me see here. Okay, I lost my spot in the chat. Oh, there we go. Crypto psychologist. Hex chart is looking great. All right. Just saw an update about syncing back up on phase 8 about. Richard didn't say which phase it's on, but it looks like he's giving a much more detailed update than we saw before 10 days ago when there was that error in block 15.5 million where the two clients weren't syncing up correctly. And again, as I explained earlier, you would imagine that because Ethereum 2.0 is based on like actually two chains in one syncing up, because you have the beacon chain and then you have the, I forget what they called the other part of the chain. Basically, you need that all to line up. And so if you're working off of archive nodes or you're working off of a full system state, and you're discovering that there's a bug at one point in the process, as was said, you want to kind of not play forward those transactions until you've gotten that bug solved. And so you're kind of waiting for the particular bug that was found, I guess, in the Prism software. You're wanting to see that be taken care of. Yeah, Bristology is awesome. He's on the Tuesday night shows nowadays. Who's most excited right now? I think it's me, says Naked Matrix. There you go. Anyone else miss RH's top hat? I think you're one of them. And there might be others too. Those were the early days. So how can you separate the top hat from the early version of Richard Hart? Believe in yourself. There you go. $278 watching. Whoa, this chat has been going wild. I'm over an hour behind in the chat because there are 401 people watching. And it says that this comment was from Bristology back at 7:45 p.m. Look at that. I guess I'm going to have to speed up, or we'll be here for as long as it takes to answer any questions and to make sure all the comments get heard. Sorry, I've been missing streams. Been feeling like I don't belong, which is ridiculous. Of course I do. So, hey, everyone, says Tarnwig. We're glad you came back. And there's a lot of names, especially when I was covering the fork of Ethereum proof of work. I saw tons of people come back that I hadn't seen in so long. It's because they knew that was the dress rehearsal for PulseChain. And it's funny because a lot of the YouTubers didn't want to address it. Richard Hart made a comment twice that he wasn't paying any attention to the proof of work version of Ethereum. It's basically dead to him. But some of us were tracking that closely, and it seemed like there was a lot of interest among people who had been early in Hex, we had seen their names in the live stream comments. So that's something that, I haven't talked about a lot, but I think we will see a massive homecoming of tons of screen names that we've been missing. I think we're going to see that when PulseChain launches and leading up to that. So welcome back, Tarnwig. Bobby Huxelrod. I met you a year ago today at the Daytona 500. How time flies. Absolutely. And shout out to you. That was great to be able to shake your hand and to, have that positive experience. Definitely. That was a wild day. I was talking hex to people with the DeLorean there. I was talking for about 10 or 12 hours straight about hex, onboarding people. And I couldn't have done that if it wasn't for Crypto Sparbock and everybody who sponsored the Daytona 500 event. That was an amazing opportunity. At these prices and being down 90% from the bull market, this is absolutely the best time to get it, period. Nothing but full upside potential from here. That's what Cryptic Life says about the price of Hex right now. Awesome. Blessed to be here, says Believe in Yourself. It's 2 a.m. here. Looking at my portfolio, says Aid. Refresh the price. Okay. The volume right now on Hex looks like it is 8.5 million for the past 24 hours. In astrology, March is bullish energy. Awesome. Getting that 25% fee burn for PLS back is huge. Yeah, I agree. That's something you're going to see probably a lot of commentary on. Other YouTubers will want to cover that. They're going to want to give their take on all the things I've been talking about as well. And I hope this has been helpful for people. I'm going to keep going here, but hit the like and subscribe button now if you've learned something. And if you really want to get an A in my imaginary class, then tell me what you learned. What was it that you learned? Leave it in the comments and or the live stream, either way. But Scott is saying that it's the 25% fee burn for Pulse, getting that back, that is the big update from Richard Hart that he liked the best out of all the updates we got today. Tom Boss, thanks for streaming, Maddie. I just had to find a stream to hear how excited everyone is after this new update. That's right. Yep. That's exactly why I started streaming, was because I wanted to project the excitement. And you could probably hear I'm starting to lose my voice. Doesn't matter. This is the dress rehearsal for when Pulse goes live. And, until I can't talk anymore, that's how far it'll go. Did Hex get up to 6 cents? Is that what people are saying? Is Nomics failing us? Let me check on a different app here. Okay, so this is also saying 5.8 cents, but let me go back to the 1 hour and see if we've been lied to. No, maybe it's Staker app. Maybe Staker app is showing a higher price. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on it, and I will someday catch up in these comments. Smash the like button. Pretty please and thank you, says Bobby. So now we have the 25% fee burning back again. That's what it looks like. Larry O, yo. Mencius West, I remember paying 5 cents to close the stake. This will be a reality again on PulseChain. Well, that's what people are excited about too. It's very exciting. How many likes do we have now? Have we refreshed? Sometimes it doesn't show if we don't refresh, but we need to at least get up to 1,000, I would say, on this stream. Let's see. Now, this was an hour ago though. Let's see here. 342 likes and 400 people watching now. What are you people doing? The 50 of you who haven't hit the like button, how dare you? So we're reporting live on the biggest update that's ever happened from Richard Hart concerning PulseChain. And if you don't like it, then get out. People used to like when I said that, and hit the like button or get out. And then YouTube algorithm would always send us more people because so many people were hitting the like button all at the same time. There you go. I think Richard won't give away the date for mainnet launch. Would be crazy if we got it really fast, like after a few days of testnet. I agree. Look, testnet might only last a week or two. Now, it could last a couple months, but remember, there's a competitive advantage to getting the solution out there. And once we have V3, some people are expecting that, that might be a short event just because you want to keep the competitive advantage because you don't want somebody to fork it. Now, if you did have somebody fork it, the game theory would still say that everybody would be outraged and mostly everybody would support only PulseChain. So that's my prediction too. Where do you check the hex price? I go to Nomics and I also look on another app on my phone, but I don't tell people what apps I have on my phone. Okay. I mean, more than one person is saying that they've seen 6-cent hex happen tonight, maybe in the past hour or so. So that's exciting. Looking at the 0.3% Uniswap V3 pool, I don't think LP has moved much over the last few weeks, says Bob Leguy. LP has to shift to the right. Not sure how long before it has to move over. Some people are predicting that that there will be a really low liquidity event at the moment when the PulseChain launch date is announced, because you might not get your copy on PulseChain if it's in a liquidity pair. Now, I know people have questioned that, and there's actually been a good debate, and I don't know that I've heard a final answer on that, but I thought of a couple other reasons why it might be that it doesn't matter what coin you have, whether it's paired with Ethereum or not. It might get fixed by the fixer bot, it might get harvested, or it might just not work if you have a liquidity position. But then again, if you have a liquidity position, you're playing a more advanced game than I like playing. So you can probably decide for yourself whether your liquidity is going to copy over onto PulseChain yet or not. Dex Tools is another place that people go to get prices. Well put, Maddie. All right. Both PLS and PLSX to $1 before 2026. That'd be something. And remember, I've got a product that we're working on in private testnet to be able to time lock your PulseChain and PulseX tokens and drip them back to you over time. So the amount of, basically you can lock anywhere from a week to 50 years. And then the amount of time that you serve is the percentage of coins that you can access every week. So it's like paying your future self on a continuous staking ladder every week. And so that'll be something I'd encourage people to, you only want to verify it once you have the audits that we're planning on getting. But it's something I'm excited about because I'm getting to test it and it kicks ass. And I took 1 billion Pulse tokens and time locked them and dripped them back to myself a week or two ago. And that was a really exciting demo to be able to do for people. So if Pulse and PulseX did go to $1 before 2026, which I don't think is really possible, that would be bigger than the GDP of the earth. But if it did go really high, having a little bit time locked would be probably a good thing for some people. Not all of it, just some. Nomics sucks for price feed. Use Coin Paprika. That's right. Crypto Compassion, what is up? Heart's Law is at work too. Hedron and Maxi, feeling the love too. Thanks for the stream, Maddie. Hey, my pleasure. If the 25% fee burning is back in, it's super bullish. Hey, I like super bullish. Does that mean if 32 is the threshold, And if you want more rewards, run a second validator. Yes, that's exactly what I believe it to mean. That people have to split their Pulse into different wallets and have separate validators running those if you want to get the benefit of having more of those coins earning yield, basically earning rewards, staking rewards. Current ETH burn rate plus 25% fees on top of that. That's even better than initially planned. Rock and roll, says Hex the Ripper. Shout out to you. 32 million Pulse at sack price was $3,200, correct? Yes, that's what I'm calculating. Now, some people got better than a 10,000 points per dollar rate. So it might be on the lower side of 3,200, but I don't think anybody got like 5,000, or sorry, I don't think anybody got like 20,000 points. But at the end of the day, remember, if you got a higher volume bonus, then you're a bigger wallet and you're going to have to split into tons of different addresses and run different validators. So at the end of the day, probably people who are in the $2,400 to $3,200 range are the ones who are going to be able to lock up their coins. Now, Richard is saying in this update that there will be a time when you lock up your when you lock up your Pulse tokens to be a validator, and then you can't get them back out again until the Shanghai fork comes out for Ethereum. So that's fascinating. That's something that will be commented on, I think, a lot. More burn is good. That's right. Let's go, Richard Hart. Awesome. Okay. Dr. Daraj is saying it starts at 1,600. Imagine Richard popping in chat. He's been in the chat before. That's being honest to yourself when you update your worldview. Exactly. Exactly. See, and if Richard did pop in, I'm like an hour behind or more. So be a pretty delayed response. Do you think that testnet will be after FixerBot ratios and liquidity is on PulseX? Wow, that is a brilliant point, Gary. That would be really interesting. Or that might be a second version of V3. That would be pretty cool. It depends what Richard decides the game theory is on whether it's better for people to be able to test that out or not. People already got the chance to test out. Some people got the chance to test out what it would be like to not have a fixer bot whenever the Ethereum chain forked into the Ethereum proof of work chain and the Ethereum fair chain. I wasn't one of the people who got to buy Hex super low on that chain compared to how it rose. I mean, Hex went up in a week about 290x on that chain because there was no fixer bot to fix the ratios. So it depends if Richard would want people to have practice gaming that and or want that to be practiced publicly. I could see it going either way, but I'm glad that you brought it up because that will be a hot point for discussion and debate. $32 per validator node. No reason to stake more as far as I can tell. Correct. That's a really important point. And what you mean is 32 million for Pulse. That there would not be a reason to stake more than that, because if you had another 32 million Pulse coins, then you could put those into a second validator node from a different address, and you could earn double the rewards that you'd be getting. Hex green rips are fun. Sup, everybody? Good to see you there, Swearworks. Yes. Let it rip. Crypto Journeyman, good to see you back. So with 32 million, would you run a validator or just stake 5555? Well, so running a validator would mean staking for an unknown period of time until the Shanghai update came out. And then you'd be able to withdraw your 32 million plus rewards. Actually, I think Ethereum is planning to let people withdraw their rewards ahead of time before being able to withdraw their principal. So that's important. That's important to know because that's going to be our roadmap too. You heard it here first or second or whatever. And then staking 5555, that's the maximum length that you can do in Hex. When it comes to my product, Time Pays Me, people will be able to stake for more than 15 years. But it depends what kind of staking you're talking about. The validator staking, I believe after withdrawals are enabled would be a day-by-day thing. And so that would mean that you could choose one day to be staked as a validator, and then the next day you could withdraw. So that's important to remember. But also, would the amount of fees that you would get from being a validator with just 32 million ETH, and then there's, who knows? What do you think the amount of supply is going to get locked up validating? It's going to be 10%. It's going to be 50%. It's going to be more than that. In Hex, out of the user controlled Hex, like 75% of it is staked. But you have people who are getting paid more to time lock longer with the share system. So that's not what you're going to have in PulseChain, but there will be some people who validate for 15 years straight. I would imagine that the Shanghai update would probably come out at least in the next 3 years. It should be much sooner, but hey, it took like 6 years to get the first part of Ethereum 2.0. Oh, I think it's called the splurge, because the merge was where they put the beacon chain with the regular chain and left proof of work. So it was like the merge, the purge, the splurge. They had some rhyming roadmap. Hilarious. Greetings from the Philippines. Shout out to you. Valiant Brand, great stream. I tried to message you on Twitter today, Brand, about the Hex meetup that I'm doing. I see that you've been doing Hex meetups, and that's really cool. And so I wanted to talk with you about the meetup I'm hosting at the Bitcoin conference. And Twitter was having errors. It wouldn't let me send you a message. So we'll have to connect here. The Dutch Hexagon. Hit the like, guys. Pip Shinobi. Hex is flying right now. We're global up in this B. With all these updates, how close are we to the V3 testnet public? That is a question that's unknowable, even to the developers who are working on PulseChain, because they're dealing with unknown unknowns. They don't know what problems that they will run into until they get there. We've seen that with the integer expansion problem that they're working on, to be able to fit the 1 million times larger supply of PulseChain than the Ethereum coins total supply. That takes more bits to store those big of numbers that have 6 or 7 extra decimal places, or like number slots basically. So we don't know how close we are, but every day we're one day closer. That's for sure. You do a fixer bot, aka automated market maker, just before mainnet. One idea of how it would roll out was that PulseChain would launch, except you wouldn't be able to trade anything. And the only thing that would be able to occur for like a day or two would be the fixer bot fixing things. And then it would be a day or two where the only thing you can do is trade maybe your PRC20s, especially Hex. You could trade that with PulseChain and PulseX, or maybe just Hex and PulseChain and PulseX. And that would have established a value of 0 that the fixer bot does, in addition to fixing the ratios in the liquidity that was copied over. And then you would open up trading after everybody's gotten a day or two to register the coins that they got airdropped as having a 0 value. So the fixer bot goes through and like does a couple trades on every single pair that's been airdropped. And that might have tax advantages in some jurisdictions where people would then not be required to sell the coins that they got airdropped. Because when you get airdropped with a certain value in some jurisdictions, you owe taxes on that. And then if the value plummets, you owe taxes on the amount that you got control of at the time. So that's important. All these details are important when you're trying to create the greatest crypto launch of all time. It's been 2 years in the making so far, almost at the end of next month. And, there's been a lot of things that have been figured out. Let's go. Let's see. I'm falling farther behind in chat. Staker app getting much better lately. Press the like button. 350 viewers. Exciting times. Thanks, Maddie. My pleasure, Bambi. Cheers, friends. Exciting times ahead. Stoked for mainnet. We're making history. Hell yeah, Ballet Brand. We need to remove all the traders and pump all the stakes. Well, I've expanded my view of this lately, updated my worldview, if you will, because I think, after all, traders are needed in any market. I wouldn't want people to lose from trading, and most people who trade do lose, but without trading, you don't have a market. So there's a little trader in all of us, and the hope is that we can have enough self-control to be long-term thinking and cooperate together as a group, as a better version of ourselves and a better version of what the future can hold. It's like in Back to the Future when Doc Brown said, "Hey, Marty, the future is what you make it." And so having our future involve less trading and more long-term holding, that's what gives a store of value crypto value. Being a powerful layer 0 is what our community does when we work together to educate, to help people learn, to broadcast, to analyze, to create commentary, to make sure everybody gets heard and all the opinions out there are debated. That's one of the things that I loved the most about doing Quant Gang, which was one of the most popular, if not the most popular, weekly show in the early days of the PulseChain announcement, is because we had 4 brilliant people on the show who all had 4 different opinions of what was going to happen next. And not all of us were right all of the time, but we kept the receipts. And I think we represented the community well. And I can say the guys that I have on my show now as well, they also have a lot of strengths. And so I'm really proud of being a part of this community. And even seeing all the streamers that participate in the Hex conference, we had 90 channels participate this year. Can I split my liquidity pair, PLS, X, and PLS on V3? And should I want to do so? We don't know that a PulseChain is going to have V3. And well, if you mean Uniswap V3, we don't know that it's going to be there when PulseChain launches. Richard hinted at the Hex conference that it might not be, and that would be actually a good thing because V2 liquidity is where it's at. But then again, I mean, isn't it very similar to be able to have limit orders that don't expire on the Pulse X DEX. So in my opinion, you're not getting an NFT when you create liquidity, when you do a limit order, but it's in some ways making the market in a similar way. Another thing that Steph has pointed out is that if you have more than one limit order that's set in the same address, sometimes it's not going to hit at multiple levels. So let's say I had a limit order to buy Hex at 1 penny and at 5 cents, now that it's over 5 cents. And if it dropped down to half a penny and then went right back up to 6 cents, then maybe only one of my orders would fill, even though it went through both of them. And so in that sense, having your liquidity positions within one wallet would make a lot of sense to have a Uniswap v3 capability. But the disadvantage of having Uniswap v3 capability is that people can kind of spoof the liquidity situation and move their liquidity around. We see that on v3. There are more complicated advantages and disadvantages to v3 liquidity. And if you want to learn more about that, you can go to a YouTube channel called Finematics, one word, and you can look up about Uniswap v3 liquidity. That might help answer your question further. Let's go. I hope so. A full dress rehearsal, a fork and launch would be really helpful. I believe that testnet client setup. All right, ready to rock and roll. Hey guys, any idea which would be better for the ecosystem as well as a wallet? 32 million validating or 32 million staking? There are lots of different forms of staking. Staking can refer to yield farming, liquidity providing, validating for a consensus algorithm, and then also staking like with Hex where you're time locking, and then also where you're earning trustless yield. And so by my count, there's going to be like 5 kinds of staking. And so as you can imagine, with so many definitions and so many types, people might get it confused. And so we'll have to work together as a community to like make sure we know which type we're talking about. But out of all those, just validating would probably be a way where you can't lose your principal. That's how I would separate the different forms of staking, is forms where you can lose your principal and forms where you can't. With liquidity farming and liquidity providing, basically you can suffer impermanent loss. And so that would be losing your principal. That's sucks. So I would say it depends on your risk level and your level of understanding. And I would definitely do your research there. As I said before, even using your PulseChain to validate is an unknown time lock in and of itself before the before the ETH 2.0 Shanghai update happens, because PulseChain is going to copy that. Hey, 369 people watching. Shout out to all of you. Hit the like button. Oh, all right. Well, hey, I said some people out there would not believe that that PulseChain is important enough to think that Vitalik Buterin is worried about RH. But I'm not convinced that you actually saw the tweet that I'm talking about. So maybe I need to bring it up and show you what I'm talking about, and then people can decide for themselves. Here we go. You asked for it. Yeah, this is really funny. If you missed this, you're missing out on life. So this is Vitalik's meme that can only mean one thing, that he was joking around like Richard Hart was, talking about Red Bull cans and big PPs and that sort of thing. So there it is. I didn't want to have to bust it out on this channel, but there you go. We need a great rap battle of history between Vitalik and RH. I would love that. Outrage marketing worked indeed. Just look at how many Prada memes we have with Richard now. That's right. Think long term. Ask the same question, but 5 years from now. Could Vitalik be the God Whale? I discovered who is probably not. I didn't discover this. It was actually somebody on Funding Jim's stream, or somebody who was talking earlier today, who I saw a YouTube clip of. I think somebody was talking about how they joined Andrew Tate's Hustler University and looked at the crypto side of things and realized that they were banning people for talking about Hex and PulseChain. So that rules out our theory that it could be that the God Whale could be Andrew Tate. It could be Vitalik. I think Vitalik's initial Ethereum, though, is pretty well tracked. I'm not saying that it's perfectly tracked, but we know that the God Whale was in from the beginning of Ethereum and has invested in lots of things that Vitalik has never spoken in support of. This bull run will be about PulseChain. That's great. Hexy Babe, I can see now how hard software can be. Exactly. Long term is the only way to go for me, but wasn't sure which route to go. There you go. Hex is the favorite. Always love your content. Hey, thank you, Mr. Dolo. PulseX is my favorite, says Jamie Crypto. Which one do I like better, PulseChain or PulseX? Yes, says Fox Moldar. Hit the likes. Hex, Pulse, PulseX, the holy trio. I will go for the node, says Tony. Always aim for the nodes. I can't wait to see how this certain DAO integrates the Hex ecosystem. Somebody likes Icosa. Vitalik had the new Ledger stacks in his pants to impress the Asian ladies. He really only needed the Nano. Yeah. I think all three, PLS, PLSX, PHEX, as I'm a second generation Ethereum Hex holder, hoping to have another crack. Hard to say one. Holding both PLS and PLSX is good for now. Pulse will be huge. So many understand the value of a node. PLS will go moon. Yeah. What if everybody locks up all their Pulse chain tokens as a part of being a node? I think I made you both. Validator node and ladder stake for the rest. Slots equal blocks as far as I know. Al Bundy, woo. Hey, Tea Time, thanks for being a member of the channel. I appreciate your support. Right, so V3 is 24 hours into new history. 84 slots equals running for about 6 days if my quick math is correct. Dr. Moore. What's up, Hexkins? Tintop, good to see you there. 120 million each PLS and PLSX, a good number. Asking for a friend. Well, I would say any sacrifice points are valuable these days. Question, says Crypto Trucker, since I sacrificed for PulseX and it It's supposed to be 10,000 coins per dollar in my MetaMask. What I sacrificed doesn't add up to the coins I suppose I have. Will it be corrected? Go on the go to pulsechain.com and check on the sacrifice checker. And there you can see what the correct number is these days. So private test has been running more than 8,400 slots before the announcement. Apparently. You're even just ahead of me. Well, I'll have plenty of PLS, and the same with Hex, so wouldn't want to sell PLS if I don't have to. I'll be able to put up 32 million for a node, keep the rest, and then stake my Hex long term. Nice. Adam, they rushed the rap song and danced to. What, Vitalik or somebody else? 120 million. Okay, people are validating each other in the chat. There you go. See what I did there? Battle of the Bulge. I have aligned beliefs with Liquid Loans and Power City, so no worries, never selling. Nothing wrong with the new software, ASIC. Hexbula, hello, Maddie and everyone. Been a great Saturday so far. Hey, that's great. At around 20K, that's 100 or 1,000 times, you're good. I'm a small fish in a big pond. Price just broke 6 cents on Paprika. Let's see what Nomics is showing. 5.9, not bad. Richard is the master, says Debbie. Millions of sacrificed, made, and never even a copy of anything. All right. No need to rush. Ricardo and Pulse, probably mid-2023. I'm glad that staking is energy efficient. Now we need to pivot away from the climate change scheme. Running a node at 100x is $320K, $320,000 worth of Pulse, or 3.2 million at 1000x. So less new validators and more adoption. What may not be very profitable initially will become very lucrative as adoption and fees grow. That's a great point. Academaciated. Good evening, Maddie and Hex fam. Proof of weight. That is correct. Been over 2 years. Not yet. Close. Hex is extremely desirable to the wealthy. I like how Richard introduced a new method of fundraising for new projects with this sacrifice idea. 400 in the chat. Let's go. Great news. We're so close, says Crypto Dave. February 28th is the Shanghai upgrade. Whoa, that's important news. I can't believe it's coming out so fast. That, I commented earlier that we don't know if Richard is implying that PulseChain could be out before the Shanghai update, or if it'll just be merged along with whenever PulseChain is done. But I'm sure people will read into that one way or another. And then, Cointelegraph, believe it or not, they're reporting that some people think that the Ethereum on-chain data suggests that the Ethereum sell pressure could be a non-event after the Shanghai upgrade. It does look like CoinDesk reported that Ethereum is setting a February date for a Sepola upgrade. So it might not be that soon. I'm reading here that JP Morgan says Ethereum's Shanghai update is scheduled for mid-March. So those typically get pushed back. So what was true at one point isn't true anymore sometimes. Really enjoy your content, says Max. And it's not just about number go up either. Love the optimization of health and long-term goal. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. T-Hags is showing the dollar bills. Jerry Oaksmith, +1. Big market sells. Go get your buys. Tortoise Johnny ALLin, welcome. Joe O'Brien, when is the Shanghai fork date? It looks like it was pushed back to mid-March, or it may be later this month, or second half of 2023. Hey, software is hard. They don't know when it'll be. It's done when it's done. Hi, Maddie, says Georgia. Thanks for sharing. Just joining the conversation. So PulseChain is not dependent on Ethereum Shanghai fork. Correct. Don't have to wait for Shanghai to come out for PulseChain to launch. And Richard is specifically stating if PulseChain launches before Shanghai, that Shanghai can be merged later on. Super Hex win. Good to see you, Maddie. Likewise. Definitely. Likewise, my friend. Thanks for being here and being such a consistent supporter and content creator. How do you like my new PFP, guys? It's PulseChain related, so the crowd goes wild. Not dependent at all. Any ETH updates that are good can get rolled in or left out. Crypto Trucker. It shows the coins I'm supposed to have on the sacrifice page, but doesn't show in MetaMask. I found this with somebody else I was helping, that it wasn't showing correctly in MetaMask. And if you dive deep into on the sacrifice checker, there's like a place where you can report that you're having a problem. I think when you go through that line of questioning for them to report the error correctly, you're going to see that it says that it might not be showing up correctly in MetaMask, and that's a known issue that shouldn't be a problem. Now, that's what I heard. Go check it out for yourself at pulsechain.com. The release date for Ethereum Shanghai upgrade probably hasn't been properly confirmed yet. Many sources say it could happen at any time in the second half of 2013. Some others say it could happen around September 2023. Hex is pumping almost 6 cents. RH had 100K followers at the beginning of the Pulse SAC, 150K at the beginning of the Pulse X SAC, and now 300K. The highest of stakes documentary and launch hype. Do you think it'll get up to 500K? Great question. Get it, Maddie? Yeah. Thanks for the heads up. My pleasure. Do we think that there will be a version 3.5 or 4? Funding Jim laid out a scenario where that might be, but I could see it going either way. And he was kind of asking it as a question anyway, if the fixer bot would create a second version of testnet v3. If we retain just 5% of users that come over for the free airdrop, numbers are huge. Correct. And I believe Hex had a participation that was in between 2 and 3% of all Bitcoin in existence when they got their, or I should say we got our free claim. All right. Let's see. Do you think RH will force parity with Hex and PHEX? No, not off the bat. Although Johnny has some cool theories about that, and people should look up Johnny Chaos. He's a great guy and a genius. Is this V3 testnet? Is it actually V1 again, since this is ETH? So we're going to have V2, V3. The next one's going to be called V3. All of the things that were developed on V1 and V2 and V2B, a lot of that can be copied over. It's just the integer expansion that needs to happen, and the other things that have been laid out. And so even though you could say that it's going back to V1 or something, it's really not the right way to think about it, because we have more in testnet V2B that will be moving on to V3 than we did when we were at V1. Like the stuff like Pulse Ramp is an example of that. So yeah, it is V3. We don't know how many versions of V3 that there will be, if there will be a V3B or not. It's an unknown unknown. Hex made all of this possible. I agree. I believe there will be no parity because more people will stake on Pulse, so eHex yield will be higher. Hex meetup in Louisiana. Let's get it. There you go. So we're going to test the ETH fork only once. That's not how I mean, testing works at a lot of different levels. There will be one period where it's tested, which is pretty much how any testnet works. And then it'll have ongoing testnet. Like we have the go early testnet for Ethereum 2.0. I use that on the regular, and it's still going ever since Ethereum 2.0 was launched. And even before that. This is how software upgrades go on the blockchain. So it's normal. Respect to RH, staying true to the 25% burn. Very bullish. I love it. I was afraid he would drop it. How can we be sure it won't have a problem? We can't. It's a miracle that any of this stuff works. Software is so hard that everything could break at any moment. You have no guarantees in software or in crypto or really in any area of life. But in the balance of probabilities, we like to catch problems early, and that's why PulseChain has not come out yet. 369 people watching. Hit the like button. Whether you like the uncertainty or not, that's the truth. I'm not going to lie to you. Somebody's saying that the 25% fee burning offsets the inflationary ETH 2.0 fork change. Brilliant. Brilliant. New DeLorean coming 2024. Yeah, I almost pre-ordered one, and then I decided that I wanted to buy the dip, and I really didn't have money like that anyway. I'm staked out, for a lot of years. So there you go. But yeah, it's cool. I think that look, they screwed up the launch of their NFTs. The DeLorean company did. That was the NFTs that represent the pre-orders. So they couldn't even get that right. It's not just that they didn't get it right the moment they were supposed to launch. It was like a week or two before they got it right. So they're like trying to do crypto in a really bad way. And I was going to put a little bit of money down, like $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever it would have been. But I decided to just wait and see if they can actually deliver, because they've been talking about that for a super long time. The prototype is pretty impressive for the new DeLorean. Selling the news never fails. Hopefully the ETH fork of V3 testnet will have no problem. Yeah, we don't know. Don't know until we get there. The exchanges will also get everybody's copies. Unless they get cut out. But yeah, they could. Excellent point. I'm glad you brought that up, Crypto Orange. That's something we need to probably dive deeper into the game theory of when we have more people to weigh in. Hopefully V3 is final. Let's see. How many likes are we up to here? What's been going on? It's been another hour. We've gone up again by another 30,000 views. We're up to 90,000 views on this, 2,700 likes, and we did break the 1K level for retweets. Well done, everybody. What are people saying? 500 people have voted to say I should go live. Look, I did. PLS and pray. That's a joke about 11K and pray. Some people will not find that funny because they were waiting to buy Hex and Bitcoin and Ethereum when Bitcoin would go below 11K. Thanks for the update, Richard. Marco the Hexagon showing off his awesome leather working skills. That's beautiful. All right. Havid Hex. bringing the hype along with KDP and everybody else that is consistently volunteering and giving updates. I love it. Look at all the exchanges that will list one particular token. PLS will be listed everywhere. Gatekeeping is over. Beautiful. I understand, Servi, you are really worried that PulseChain isn't going to launch soon. And that's particularly valid. You know, everybody's ready except for the devs and Richard. They get the final say. People have had enough of testnet. That's right. See, but have you used the testnet? Have you been impressed by how cool it is? I've been impressed. Have you tested? Have you figured out your final game theory? There's still new pieces of the equation being discovered and being announced. Like the 25% fee burning on Pulse is back on. So the question is, will RH tokens be gate kept? You know, it'd be nice if some of these exchanges would announce ahead of time, but they have reputational risk. They want to see if it's ready. They also could have reputational gain, I suppose. How many miles on the DeLorean? I myself drove it over the 5,555 mile time spot on the odometer. And so how crazy is that? And I pulled over and did a Quantro Cinco stake and I live streamed it. Now it's probably got like 7,000 miles on it, maybe. No, not that many. Probably between 6,000 and 7,000. It's in the top 5% best preserved DeLoreans, or it was. And then I put like a big bumper sticker on it about Hex. There you go. Hex to the future. People have claimed that Hex OA was gatekept due to the OA and other wallets holding the majority of the tokens. That could be the case again. I'll have no reason to bridge anything over. Whatever lands on PLS is what I'm working with. Thank you for the updates and all this alpha. Hey, my pleasure. I've been going for about 2.5 hours. I'm still an hour behind in the chat, more than an hour, because people are loving this. People are excited. And I agree. I did give a lot of alpha in the first hour and a half. Yeehaw to my ears, says we'll see. When exchanges list, buyers will learn about self-custody and come over to PulseX. That's if Gary Gensler from the SEC doesn't already teach everybody, not your keys, not your coins. Then they'll know ahead of time. Win-win. Apparently, BlackRock just tokenized an ETF on Uniswap. RH ecosystem is at the helm. That'd be cool. All my life savings I put on Hex and PLSX. If this fails, I'll recover. I'm just 29 years old. Heh, heh, heh. So excited. Hey, welcome to the party, my friend. Smash the likes. So it's a matter of days. If the fixes to the sync are perfect, could be. Everybody always thinks I got a haircut when I put my hair back. Hey, I don't mind. Let's have meetings about meetings too. There you go. Look into the Bonaset T. I read it helps heal broken bones. I could use that. Could use some help. Hit me up in Telegram. All is good. How's it on your end? Oh, people talking to each other in the chat. Awesome. I'm a day 120 Hexakin. Shout out to you. Technically, May launch was his biggest update. No, well, no, I disagree. Jerry's just kidding. Thanks for this, Maddie. Hey, my pleasure. All in right now, says Honey Drippers. Exciting to see new RH products come to life, says Spike. Crispy Man, yay. Maddie ALLin Hex Therapy live. That's right. Hexy Babe, cruising, summer. Jason Smith, hey, Maddie. Hey, back to you. Crypto Orange. This calls for a fudgesicle. Open it up for others to join. Let's see if this turns into chat roulette. Yeah, totally. Dropping racks into Hex right now. Hi from Melbourne, Australia. Shout out to you, Ronnie. What's up, Toby One? What's up, everyone? Good to see you, my friend. Maddie Allen, that's me. Just got back from using my flex capacitor, and I can say sooner than later. Where can I get my pulse chain sharpened? 20 cent? Shut the front door. Curious of your thoughts on RH saying we haven't done 10,000x from launch. Well, Toby, that he said that around the all-time high. And that's true because the price of Hex started at a third of a penny. And then on day 33 or 34, it dropped down to 0.00005. That's 4 zeros and a 5. And then it did a 10,000x from there up to 50 cents. But a 10,000x from launch price would be, I think, $36 Hex. I think. So I'd be okay with that. We made it. Maddie, can you touch on the 25% Burns effect on Pulse's ETH 2.0 inflation? Well, like people said earlier in the chat, that is in the cards that it could end up being even more sound money than Ethereum is trying to be. And I'm trying to remember what the website is. We can go take a look at what it looks like on the Ethereum blockchain to have this this pattern of having the possibility of being inflationary or deflationary, because I think it'll help help people understand it better. So Sound Money ETH website. It's ultrasound.money. And everybody, they tried to do like a thing where everybody would have like a bat emoji in their name with like a sonar next to it. These are the Ethereum folks. They tried to have like a bat theme going for like ultrasound money because it's a play on words because bats are so good at hearing, I guess. But you can see here how the Ethereum supply had become inflationary since the merge where Ethereum 2.0 launched, and then it became deflationary or disinflationary, and then it became inflationary, and then it became deflationary now. So it's kind of going back and forth. I would imagine if you took this same equation and you added a 25% fee burning mechanism on top of it, I would imagine that you would see much less inflation, maybe more deflation or disinflation, however that actually works out. Extraterrestrials for Hex. There you go. Chris Alfaro, howdy. Where's Johnny Chaos? Hey, good question. Let's get him on here. Wouldn't that be a treat? Let me see. Johnny Chaos. Just say his name enough times and send him the link. Sometimes he appears. We know Toby wants watching. Ask and you shall receive. Almost 400 in here. Exactly. We've been going strong. This is an awesome episode. Awesome moment in Hex and PulseChain history. Hey, Maddie, big love from Sydney, Australia. You're the MVP, fam. Hey, appreciate it. Daddy Hexler. Toby, I actually can't copy that link. But if you pop on the stream, you could can DM it to me. Just waiting patiently. Caught you live. Sweet. What's up, Dr. H, the crypto practor? Howdy, y'all, says Ash Tree. Yeah, the T-Bird says, yeah, the metric of 10,000x from launch is a more potent metric than from the all-time low. The all-time low is solely marketing because it's unlikely that anyone would have sold the exact all-time high and bought exactly the all-time low. I disagree. Johnny bought when it was sub one Satoshi. I could have, but I got fudded out temporarily. I remember where I was when I heard the interview the next day when Richard was like, yeah, it's sub a penny. Or sorry, sub a Satoshi. So it is totally not true. Like all 5,000 people who started off in Hex could have definitely bought that if there wasn't so much fun. Well, not everybody could have bought it, but everybody had an equal chance if they believed. If they were the one who believed differently than it played out. And then with the all-time high, people just set a limit order, I believe, because it reached perfectly to wicked up to 55 cents. So it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think that's your point. Or it was kind of just an interesting phenomenon. You're going to get Trevon James. People spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on gas when trading crazy NFT launches. Imagine the chaos when PLS drops. Wild. I agree. That's what I was saying. $17 works for me. Crypto Diego. Hey, so excited about the updates. It would be cool to know what you said, but unfortunately, there's no closed captioning on because it's live streaming. I have to wait 24 hours for the CC to appear for your stream. I wish it was faster, but that's true that I do have closed captioning that you can turn on. And I guess now I know that it turns on about 24 hours after streaming. Exciting times. PLS is going to go back to more deflationary than ETH. It's another game changer come launch. Cryptic Life says, I'm not doing any ratio trading. I'm buying up Hex now so I can get that copy on PLS. Holding all PLS and PLSX and Hex on PulseChain. Only new capital to add to the PLS bag. Mark says, don't over FOMO. It's the ground floor. Don't get greedy and have fun. By the way, if you're joining us, this is a chart of the Ethereum supply, not like Hex or something. Hex is sitting right below 6 cents. Somebody must have a limit order set for 6 cents. Operation Shutdown. Good stream, Maddie. Hey, my pleasure. You guys are part of what makes it great. Right on. I have a background in psychology too. Shout out to you. PulseX person. What's up, Maddie? Yo. Appreciate y'all. Angels Fund. My birthday coming up. And I told the crypto gods all I wanted was 10-cent Hex. I'm starting to think they heard me. Hey, if they're taking second wishes for your birthday, maybe PulseChain will launch too. Funding Gym. Whale. Peace. Let's go, Hex. Maddie, do you need a son? That is a weird comment. Press the like, guys. Where's Richard? Yeah, where is he? PulseChain doesn't need a rocket. We'll have a space elevator to easily move into the colony ships. Single-sided staking and the burn are a likely scenario for me. I missed that hat, the top hat, I suppose. Hope all you guys are having a great day, says Hexbola. 401 people left to go by Hex. Bankless guy crying over layer 0 problem while they shovel their social base layer into the meat grinder. They must be joking themselves when they criticize RH and hexagons. We're the best in all of crypto. Hey, Maddie, just got back from the beach and seen that you're live. Woohoo! Hex is kicking it. 6 cents. Here we come. It wicked to 8.5 cents. 315 ETH bought. Wow. That's wild. I learned the updates. Thanks for streaming. Hey, thanks. Thanks, Maddie ALLin. All right. I'm caught up to an hour ago. I see that there are some super chats. I will come back to where I left off. Let's see what we got here. Trying to find the super chats. There have been so many comments on this stream that it's like, okay, so thanks for the $5 super chat from BoomBap92. Will claiming our airdrops as gifts stave off Uncle Sam? That's the thing. Everybody's in a different tax jurisdiction, so it'll be up to you to figure out what your rules are. For some people, the airdrop actually hitting your wallet having a 0 value according to the fixer bot would create a situation for some people where they would not have to basically pay taxes at that moment. It would be like your cost basis is 0, but you don't have to sell the crypto at that moment in order to be in compliance. And I'm not a tax professional, and you need to do your own research on that. But thanks for the super chat. Nikki B, the $9.99 super chat. Thank you. Blur airdrop. Did Hexagons get a chance to buy Hex with some more free money? Details, please. P.S. Maddie rocks. If you were an NFT holder, I believe that this Blur airdrop was an attempt to vampire attack OpenSea. And I noticed earlier today that OpenSea temporarily dropped their fee down to 0. So that's crazy. So that's a big deal. And that's why the gas fees have been so high. I think if you're a really big Richard Hart maximalist, you might not have had that many NFTs that would have qualified you for a big amount of money from the Blur airdrop. But if you are into NFTs, then you might want to look into whether you got free money, and then maybe you'll get a chance to buy Hex with more free money. I know for me, I got 3 people into Hex where they got a Uniswap airdrop. And so for only $20 of getting them in, they ended up getting a $1,200 airdrop. And then that turned into over 1 million Hex today with staking. So that's incredible. So how incredible is that? Like, free money is out there for people. Thanks again for the super chat there, Nikki B. Melv Tony says the price of Hex 5.9 cents. There you go. I'm zooming back up here to where I left off about an hour ago. Does Godwill have that 2 billion Hex liquid right now? I think so. That's not unusual, I don't think, for the Godwill. The Godwill now has more T-shares than the OA. I discovered that on my stream on Thursday. Just joined. Can you briefly recap what the update is, please? We got more details than we ever have from Richard. There were 6 tweets, all with really detailed information about how the update is going for PulseChain v3. And one of the significant updates from that was that there's a 25% fee burning that's back in. Hello from Ukraine. I need PLS to push up and to the sky. So bad. Here's where I left off. Hex in the community has made me learn to actually save money for the first time in my life. At 1.8 cents, I decided to put some money in there. Delayed gratification. I even bought a crock pot. Well, shout out to you, the Dutch Hexagon. That's a great testimonial. And I love that you figured out how to do something that's typically healthy for people, delaying gratification. Shout out to you. I see another super chat came in. Nikki B, thanks, Maddie. See you in Miami. There we go. The $20 super chat. Thank you. And if other people want to join in Miami, I'm going to have my second mass hex meetup. And to find out the details, you can get a ticket now by going to hexpomiami.com. And that's where I have my blog post where you can get the ticket and find out about some of the activities that we have planned. Super exciting. But yeah, go check that out now, everybody. Because it will sell out and it will be too late at some point. Is the GDP of the earth really too much to wish for? Of course not. Of course it's not too much to wish for. I'm glad I got back into Hex in January at 1.7 cents. Shout out to you. So glad we sacrificed day one, thanks to Richard Hart. What's the name of the time lock tool and where do I read up on it? I don't have all the details written out, but I have a really good thread, and you can find that at allmylinks.com/timepaysme. Actually, the best place to find it is if you go to the Twitter for Smart Vault Me. I'll drop the link for that too. Twitter.com/smartvaultme. I did like a 20 tweet thread, and one of the benefits is kind of cut out where there was going to be trustless staking, or not trustless staking, but there was a trustless yield, and that would have been paid from the impatience of others being able to take a 10% early payday. I cut that part out because I didn't want it to be too competitive with Hex. But at the end of the day, the majority of the yield is coming from your patience anyway. And so it just fit better. And there are some other reasons as well why I wanted to concentrate on being able to time lock your PulseChain and PulseX tokens and any PRC or ERC20 token. And so you can read about that in the description at Time Pays Me. I had a limit order that bought at 6 cents. So yes, coming in hot. I had to drop everything I was doing and log in so I could hit the like button. Hey, thanks, Just Believe. Appreciate it. Okay. Let's see. Invite RH now. Richard Hart made crypto fun, safe, and for the people. I learned that you're retired. Very bullish. Thank you for your time. Hey, my pleasure. I don't sell out my audience. It's a nice position to be in. I'm so happy I'm a Hexagon. Glad to be among you. Shout out to you. I'm looking at the PulseChain SAC address on Etherscan and people are still sending ETH to it. That's not a good idea. Don't sell. Hex is our friend. What's up, Maddie? Finally catching you live. Thanks for being here. Great day to golf. We'll catch in the replay. $200 hex. I can see that. Pulse X daily incentive coin earnings will be many dollar signs. Josh Baker says, appreciate the stream, Maddie. What are your thoughts on Alex and his Hedron and Icosa sub hex ecosystem? I am not the biggest fan. Melf Tony, 5.8 cents. Good morning from Indonesia. I'm hex happy. Pulse X has the best fundamentals. Crypto Millionaires with Corey Geary. Good evening, Hexicans. Jimmy, hey, there is a new equation I saw on a video about last month. A new simplification for that kind of problem. Brand new discovery. Saw it when I was watching all the AI stuff in January. Maybe you can be more specific. That's the thing about being an hour behind in the chat. It kind of loses a little bit of context. We all stuck by RH through the FUD because we're smart. Charles Stone. Hey, Maddie. Good to see you. I appreciate the kind words. PLSX single-sided staking is glory. Straight to mainnet, I give it a 10% chance. Hello, all, says Pulse Former. Jake, is the ETH bridge still set for 3 days after mainnet? I would say give or take. Basically, you want a day or two for the fixer bot to do its thing, to register everything at 0, because that's for international tax purposes. And then you want a couple days of exclusive trading between certain pairs. And then you want everything else to open up with the Ethereum bridge. So I would give it 2 to 4 days would be my guess. I'm already retired, so the whole PLS is a bonus. Love it. Yay, Hexico. Hit the like, spank the subscribe, send Maddie to the moon. Referring to projects I fancy, P-Hex, super hungry for P-Hex, want to be an OG like you, Maddie, and stake my ladders. Yeah. Vitalik's attempt at outrage marketing. Time for another Lil Bubble PulseChain song. When does Pulse X come out? After PLS or at the same time? At the same time. That's why Charles Hopkinson left Ethereum. Will BitConnect be on PulseChain? I think everything's copying over. Interesting, Mr. Beast avoids referring to that because he knows it drops his viewers 5%. There you go. So he doesn't refer to P. Okay. So I guess I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. Either way, there's some things I don't know about. Who is the genius that thought it was the Godwell? Well, it was an interesting theory because of the timing between like when the Godwell had done their last transaction and when he was arrested was the same day. And then there was then the Godwell was bleeding out $1 million. Was it $1 million of hex per day? So like, why would the Godwell be bleeding out that much? Well, it turns out Crispy Man figured out that the Godwell's bled out before like that. So it's not unusual. And it could be part of their security model to like not have access to it at all the time. So it wasn't that ridiculous. I mean, it wasn't that serious either of a prediction. It was just like, hey, it's weird how those things line up. But then the evidence that Andrew Tate's like university, crypto university was telling people not to get hex would indicate not the god of oil. How's your project coming along, Maddie? The private testnet is working really well. The blockchain code seems to be just about done and or done, kind of depending on what we want to fix in the client side versus the blockchain code side. But yeah, I was meeting with my 2 developers today, and it's really coming along. Almost ready for auditing. And then public testnet, and then launch on Ethereum and PulseChain if it's out. We're showing good strength. Hey, it's Hex19. Hey, Maddie, PLS will be too valuable to trade. I'm locking up for USDL or other yield opportunities. There you go. Best cult ever. Maddie, don't you think people are underestimating what Hex can do this cycle? Which store of value yield coin do you think all the PLS and PLSX gains will flow back into? Great point. Hey, Maddie, I was in the Pulse hot list pool. What happened with that? Does it appear on Pulse launch or should it be in the wallet now? Any ideas or thoughts on strategy with Pulse hot list or just wait and see? Wait and see. They got their point list out, I think like a day after the sacrifice ended. So that's crazy. Yeah. And then what happens with it is like, well, it was the sacrifice. So like they're going to do whatever they're going to do. But yeah, I sacrificed for that one. And I actually didn't get any benefit from, being in that. And so so I was just kind of just doing that as a volunteer basically. But yeah, I'm still liking that project, out of the ones that Richard didn't create. I think the creators of that seem like pretty cool. Will Time Pays Me have any fees besides the gas? There's a 0.1% fee. So that's 1 unit per 1,000 units locked. It's like, I'm pretty proud of that. That's a good deal. Hope you're having a great weekend. Thanks for the stream. Let's go. Crypto BD. Hey, everyone. I invested in Hex because I believe in it. I wanted a Tesla. Wait, isn't the Shanghai update in September? Nobody knows. Regarding your token, I don't have a token. Does it have a function that keeps people from dumping? All it is you're holding your own smart vault, and then it allows you to time lock your coins, any coin on PulseChain or any coin on Ethereum, and you hold it in your own wallet. And then if you get hacked, there's a way to try to recover the vault, which is really cool. And it will drip back to you over time. So if you time lock for a year and you serve a week, well, a week is about 2% of a year. So you'd be able to withdraw 2% of your coins every week, or just let it build up. So that's Time Pays Me. Yeah. When I invested during the SHIB swap launch, the Bone token had something like it. Vibra Finance CEO, good to see you. Did Hex pump to 7 cents not long ago? That's what somebody said. PulseChain will be in quite the opportunistic position post-launch this cycle. Yeah, mine is just a crypto utility. There's no token associated with it. Hey, Hexicans. Hex Meridius 369. Hope all is well, Maddie. You're an amazing force for good in the Hex community. Keep crushing. Appreciate it. Appreciate you too. The Hexican contractor, what is up? Melf Tony says the price of Hex is 5.9 cents. I'm waiting for 1 cent Hex. DCA is king. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. 25% burn is awesome. That's what I keep hearing from people. Just came skidding in, catching up, says Int Pro. Smash the likes, ladies and gents. What's up, Pulsicans? PulseXicans? I'm not clear what the project is. I just thought I heard something in the past about a drip system, like a trust. Hex pump imminent. Tesla, son. Guys, we are fortunate to be involved in this ecosystem. Let that sink in. We are blessed. Smash the like button. Regarding parity, RH definitely said it would start at 0 and the market would decide. But with the AMA, automated market maker, I feel there will be some curating of its position. So when it becomes available, it will maybe be at parity. Does my hex have to be liquid for PulseChain snapshot? No, it does not. Your stakes will get copied over as well. Havid can get it all. There you go. Westcott. Renchi T, good to see you. Stefan. Pulse X. Ready in the chat after an hour. Reading the chat after an hour has passed makes the post lose its umph. Well, it depends. I mean, if you have a better way, let me know. Maddie, what's your favorite crypto self-custody wallet? I like using MetaMask with a hardware wallet. Man, just launch it. Keep working while we use it. I just heard $36 hex. Well, that's what it would be for a 10,000x from the launch price of a third of a penny. I hope you and I will connect one day, says Nathan. I tried to contact you many times, but the details get lost in the midst of the madness. Hey, Maddie, what's up, bro? Any meetups in the LA area soon? Not that I know of. We might do a small meetup in Utah, like in a week from today. I don't know if my arm's going to be better, but what does this mean? 12 hours left to register your wallet in the last distribution. That sounds like a scam. There's not 12 hours left for anything that I know of. Hope we can talk soon. Let's go. Hex Mania, brothers. What are you going to do when Hex runs wild on you? Bang, bang, bang. Any meetups in LA? Somebody should plan one. I know Bristology does some in some part of California. There's a Telegram t.me/hex meetup. You can go ask in there. I always DCA regardless of the price. There you go. 6 cents. I see rich people. That's kind of a double entendre there by George Chops. Well done. Matthew Mason, sup y'all? Hex is the best. It's just going to take time for the rest of the world to figure it out. Nathan says, I grew up on the streets and people always underestimate you. Then they find out when shit hits the fan. People underestimate RH and they will feel it long term. I have some great ideas and the plan to execute them. Let's talk. Go to t.me/smartvaultme. Ask your question in there. It's more likely to get seen. Let's see. Oh, I'm catching up. I'm catching up fast now. Hexy Dripper, smash the like, plebs. Godwell mentioned before that English was not his first language. That would knock Andrew Tate out, pun intended. That's good. Hex Addict. Sounds like we could have V3 soon, and possibly after that V4, after the Shanghai fork, before we get mainnet. Well, it sounds like from this update that it's possible to get mainnet in PulseChain before the Shanghai fork if it's ready by then. Look, I can already tell you that Richard isn't going to change his story right at the end. He doesn't know when PulseChain is going to be ready because there are unknown unknowns. So that's, I don't think he's, earlier I said he might have been hinting at a timeline, but I don't think he is, because we don't know when Shanghai is going to come out. We don't know when PulseChain is going to be done. Anyone know the circulating coin supply of PulseChain? Not sure. Future supply is 10,000 times the total sacrifice. At least, maybe more. Please, Hex, stop going up. I want to buy more cheaper. Knees weak, bags are heavy. Green candles on Nomics already. There you go. $36 Hex, and I'll move permanently to Dubai. Mom's spaghetti. I only have 17,000 Hex. Better hold on to them, or do whatever you're going to do. Not financial advice. I need to buy more Hex and have time to wait a week to send my ETH. Yeah, crazy. Awesome. Well, I'm glad we got to cover all this, people. I've been streaming for 3 hours. I had to hop on. We've had 350, 400 people watching live. So I really appreciate you being here. I stream every Tuesday and Thursday. So hit the like and subscribe button. Come back and see what it's all about. I stream on Tuesday and Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. Central, 8:30 Eastern, and 5:30 on the West Coast. So definitely come check me out. This has been a dress rehearsal for whenever we get a major update on PulseChain, or when PulseChain launches, or when testnet v3 launches. Like, we're going to have to rush on stream and celebrate as a community. So that's what I wanted to do today. So thanks everybody for being here. We're making history. Definitely rewind and check out all the alpha that I dropped. You can find out more about me and about all the things I'm working on at allmylinks.com/allin. Drop that link there. Got it. All right. Well, there you have it. This is the biggest update that we've ever gotten in PulseChain history. And we're just getting started. So it looks like at the end of the stream, price of Hex just hit 6 cents on Nomics. What a beautiful thing. So keep taking care of yourselves, everybody. Keep fighting the good fight, getting the word out, and keep paying your future self. Stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.
It's from Maddie Allen of Hex Therapy Live. I like Maddie. Maddie tries to make the world a healthier place. He's a mental health professional. He's done research, big videos on sudden wealth syndrome. There's nothing that a human being could do better than try and heal his fellow man.
Maddie Allen's got that covered. He does emotional, feel-good, mind management, emotion stuff, like, as his gig, because he's a therapist. That's what he does for a living. Like, he helps heal people.
We actually do have another Hex streamer streaming right now. She may not be on the topic of the update, but Ashley Ash is streaming right now about high strangeness. And so I'm going to drop the link here. And if you go raid her, then let her know that I sent you, and we can support all the people in the Hex community. Ashley spoke at the conferences, so I'm just going to drop the link here, and you guys can do the raid. But until next time, stake wisely and peace out.